Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show on this beautiful Monday morning. The Final Four has been set, and we are getting ready for a week full of awesome shows. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, Coop and John Luke. How are you guys doing this morning?
Oh, fantastic. Good morning, fellas.
Doing great, dude. How about this Final Four, man? Like,
What the hell?
if there's someone out there that has a perfect bracket, they must be outside of their mind.
There's no way somebody has
The perfect bracket was busted in the first round.
Oh,
Wasn't
really?
Everybody had one wrong.
There was a point whenever before the Sweet 16 game started, the bracket that was in first place had Arizona as the champion. So, like, even at the Sweet 16, the team that had the bracket that was the best, had the most potential points remaining, had the champion incorrect. Because Arizona was already knocked out of the tournament. They just got 15 of the Sweet 16.
Providers.
Right?
That's wild.
ESPN just tracks perfect brackets on ESPN.
ESPN,
So,
right.
but I've not seen, with the amount of Reddit I looked at this weekend while riding in a car, if there was a perfect bracket left, I would have seen about it. There would have been an article.
I would have seen about it.
I would have seen about
I
it.
would have
and talked about it.
I would have gone and seen about it, you know.
Unless it's some boy down in the country with a perfect bracket on his refrigerator filled out in pencil, then I ain't know nothing about it.
You didn't bring your pencil with you, did you?
Me?
You
Never.
I ain't never.
Me?
A perfect
Me?
bracket. I ain't
Sorry.
never.
Please, I ain't never
Sorry.
seen that.
I ain't never.
I just assumed you weren't talking to me.
Of
We got
course not.
Tommy in the chat this morning with a poem for us bright and early. That is the very first, or we're going to start over.
Bright and early.
Nailed
Patient
it.
with me. It is Monday morning at 6:03 a.m. for me. Tommy said, it is
Wake
the
up.
very first ever in NCAA lore. Neither men nor women have seen it before. With the eye of a hawk and the fight of a shark, the first 40-point triple-double put up by Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
There you go.
I think this isn't even the first time I've heard of the name Caitlin Clark. I've seen a few clips of her. She is ice cold, man. It's like she's like the Dame Lillard of women's hoops. Like, she just pulls up and shoots from wherever. Doesn't matter what time's on the shot clock. Like, I love seeing that stuff, man. I love that attitude of like, oh, you're not supposed to do this? Don't care.
Quashush.
And Tommy in here saying, first ever, no guy has ever done it. The first 40-point triple-double.
Yeah.
Throwing that up there. Shout out Caitlin Clark.
That's
For
taking
real.
40-point
incredible.
triple double. That's taken over. Was it boards? So I didn't see the stat line. It was points, boards, and assists, I imagine.
I do not know. We'll have to look that up. What was I going to say? Oh, outside of that, in the men's tournament, there is going to be one of Florida Atlantic University or San Diego State playing for the national championship,
I love that.
right? One of either Florida Atlantic or San Diego State is playing for the freaking title.
5 or 9, baby.
That's insane. And then on the other side, we've got,
UConn and Miami.
this is so
Awesome.
a UConn year. Know what I mean? This is like, I feel like this is how UConn wins their national championships. Like, Kansas will make it to the finals 6 years in a row. Villanova will make it 7 years in a row. And then UConn rolls in as like a 3 or 4 seed. All the top seeds lose. And they're like, I'm the favorite now.
Right. Now they're the bad guys, right?
Exactly. They went from being like, in a normal year, they might be like the Final Four underdog story. And now this year, they're the villains of the tournament. We can't let UConn win. One of the first time winners has to win.
Yeah, I would do.
UConn's mascot on point though.
Oh yeah,
The Husky.
The Husky.
absolutely, dude. We talked about this earlier this year. We literally were like, all we need is that one time for like a 6 seed to win, and then every single team from now on could be like, we can do it. Like, just to break the old 1 or 2 seed curse that we've had here. So now we're gonna get it. And now every single school in the country, including my Providence Friars, is sitting there saying, "Oh, this could have been our year if we just hit a couple more free throws."
If only we had a couple more free throws.
They are talking about how that this might be an effect of the current landscape of college basketball with NIL and then the eligibility rules for the NBA, that we might just be seeing more parity across college hoops because of the rules that are in place now. So maybe this becomes the norm and we start seeing 16 seeds beat 1 seeds more regularly instead of 4 times in tournament history, and we get some more crazy Final Fours like this. If you got it right, send us a screenshot. We want to see that, because that's absolutely. If you got 2 of the Final Four right, I want to see your bracket.
Simon wants to see about it.
I want to see about it. Let's see. Did I get any of the Final Four right? Alabama, no. Damn. Marquette, shoot. 2 seed got eliminated. Who did I have?
Purdue? No.
Houston? Gonzaga? We were close. We almost got it with Gonzaga, and then UConn came in and beat it.
Yeah, I can tell you right
Nothing
now.
doing.
I can tell you right now, I don't got any of these teams.
Well, guys, it is that time of morning. Coop, while you're checking your bracket, everyone make sure you got your breakfast ready. We are going to bring the news. We're going to bring the topics. You just got to bring something to manger on bright and early this Monday morning. John Luke, you got any breakfast?
Yep.
Water. Nice. Quality.
This is
Coop,
all
what about
Kate
you?
could let me drink this morning.
I just have a pretty standard, boring breakfast today. Just have coffee and orange juice and a Nutri-Grain bar and a banana and honeydew melon and pineapple.
Yeah, very simple. Did you cut all the fruit fresh this morning? Did you pick it from your garden?
Yesterday.
No, Kate did it.
Okay,
Yeah. There we go. I actually have breakfast this morning. I have a strawberry empanada from
Look at you.
Bedoy's Bakery that I
Who?
might be eating. Bedoy.
Bedoy.
There's
It's
2 of them.
Bedoy's Bakery.
This one wasn't started by Bedoy. This one was started by Bedoy's family.
Good old Bedoy's family.
Mm. Well, guys, I'm going to kick us off with a story today. Following up on some rumors that we've heard. Like Koopa said, our policy on the show is that all rumors are believed true until told otherwise. Well, Sean Payton came out and told us otherwise about one of the rumors this weekend. And Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy trade rumors. Sean Payton came out and said, we're not trading those 2 players. We're not doing it. He said, no. The full quote was, I see and read just like everyone else does. Then occasionally when someone really crowds the plate, I throw a fastball right at their chin and they back up and they're like, all right. So I haven't thrown any fastballs lately, but we're not trading those 2 players.
What? What the heck does that mean? The heck is he talking about?
He's head ball coach, dude. Look out for that
Why is he Urban
fastball.
Meyering?
Look out for that
Get your
fastball.
chin off the plate, huh?
Get your chin up. I'm just worried
Get
that
your
I'm
chin
the
off
one,
the plate.
I'm the one with the chin on my plate.
I like it's like the whole.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I definitely had my chin all over that plate when I was rooting for Greg Dulcich to be a top 2 target on this team. And then now this kind of hurts my feelings. So I feel like that fastball came right at us, boys. What do you guys think?
Can we believe what he's saying?
No.
Or is this just chitter chatter?
In my mind, this seems like he's viewing a competitive sport where it's not. Like it's like a competitive sport between him and the beat reporters for the Broncos, where he thinks like he's laying at home thinking like, oh, I freaking got him with this one. Know what I mean? Like those rumors that they thought they were first to report on.
Baseball analogy.
And the beat reporters are at home just writing their next article about how they're not being traded.
Right.
Know what I mean? Like he thinks that's bad, but like it's just more information for him.
Meanwhile, the rest of the Broncos players are in the weight room working out, and they look up at the TV and see this quote, and they're like, "Wait, he said these 2 players? What about us? What about the rest of us?"
Like,
He specifically, we're not trading these 2 players. KJ,
Tim Patrick knocks on the office door like, so I noticed you were mentioning wide receivers that weren't getting traded.
Right? It's like he's
You
like,
must
I
have gotten
rate.
caught off short, or you just had to like spit it into 140 characters or something, right?
Poor Tim.
Daddy. He starts calling him
Daddy.
daddy just because he knows Taysom Hill got on his good side that way.
He knows that that'll appeal to him.
He just like says it and then like looks at him out of the side of his eye like,
Daddy?
Take a knee, son. I got something to tell you.
Sean Payton's like, yeah, son, and walks away.
Yeah, and he just throws him a Browns jersey.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
But you guys, it sounds like maybe you're not buying this. This is just coach talk.
I mean, in this particular instance, like they could do whatever they want. Like it could have been a situation where they tried to trade the guys and nobody wanted him. So then he just turned around and was like, just so you know, like we weren't trying to trade these guys.
We were never gonna trade him.
Yeah. So you never know with that stuff.
Yeah, I broke up with her.
Exactly. What does it do or benefit him by saying either way? Right? Like and how do we change how we're operating based off this information? We're not. Unless if you're changing whether you were going to trade Cortland Sutton or Jared Judy or go trade for Greg Dulcich, you're probably not changing your tune here. If you believed in Greg Dulcich before, you still believe in him now.
Exactly.
Oh, but you bet his value would go up if there was some more
For
clear.
sure.
Like
But
if
that
Sean
was
Payton
all
came out and said like the opposite of this, like, oh yeah, we're definitely trading one, if not both of these guys.
right. But that's wishful thinking if you're thinking that.
100%. 100%.
And again, if you like Jay was saying, if you believe in the player, then you believe that his window of opportunity is going to open at some point, right? That he's going to earn the targets, and they're going to have to, because I mean that's kind of how it works in this league. Is if you're Mark Andrews and you earn, you prove that you're good enough and earn those targets, and then they have to pay you, that's just one more offensive player they can't afford to pay. So you kind of Greg Dulcich, if he's good enough, then he'll kind of brute force his way in there where they can't pay Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy and Tim Patrick and all these guys. So you just got to stay the
just
course.
have a really terrible line and get Russell Wilson murdered.
I mean, that's the Seahawks tried that for years.
That's what I'm saying. It was a pretty winning strategy for the Seahawks. Got him a Super Bowl.
Yeah. So maybe they'll just do that.
And Craig down here saying maybe Russ is on the trade block. Maybe.
Can you imagine? Russ goes to the Packers.
Russ, his contract, and 2 of the Broncos firsts for like a 5th. Is that what that trade would have to be at this point?
That's exactly what it would look like.
So
Tommy here saying anyone else thinking Rodgers to the Jets may not happen? I'm still just going by the default that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I haven't gotten that feeling yet. I have not reached that point yet, Tommy, but I understand reaching that point. It's coming. If we're talking this same way 2 weeks from now, I'll probably have changed my tune entirely.
I don't know. The longer it takes, the longer I'm like,
yeah, it's I don't know why it hasn't happened.
Which side do you think's being difficult, the Packers or the Jets?
Packers.
Yeah, that would make sense. The team with the Hall of Fame quarterback currently on their roster.
Right. And they're
kind of destroyed their leverage by saying they didn't want him, but still know the value of the asset they have. Might be being difficult in trade conversations.
Exactly. And like they're sitting there because like the Jets are trying to compete right now. So they have the urgency to make moves and get things sorted so that they can actually have their cap set up and make the moves they need to make. Whereas the Broncos the Packers are kind of doing like a bridge year where they don't really care. Like they don't need to go out and get the top free agents this year. It doesn't, like the Cardinals aren't doing that either because they're doing a bridge year, right? So they can sit back and say, hey, you know what? You want this guy? Pay us the full price, because there's a few other teams we've talked to, and I'm sure they'd be happy to have him too. So they don't really have to push it.
They don't. We got NKC in here saying good morning. What's up, NKC? Welcome in, my friend.
what up, NKC?
Happy Monday.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Speaking of Mondays,
Huh?
you guys see our good buddy Sal Capaccio tweeted out the NFL is looking hard at pump plays. According to the league, it's the most penalized and most injury play in the game. They want to reduce both.
Yeah, I can see that. There's also like it's one of the few plays where you can really like set up crazy, like kind of blindside-ish blocks, right? Like they kind of do the fake to one side and then they bring the guy back around and you have these guys screaming back the other way. So I don't know. Maybe they can change it around. I'll tell you this. It's even though a punt return for a touchdown is awesome, for the most part, punts are pretty boring. So if they can just make them safer and have less injuries, I'm all for it. The one thing that drives me nuts is how much of an impact on the game it has when there's a running into the punter type play. Like, what a stupid play.
I hate that play. I hate that penalty because it's so performative. It feels like every time the punter has to do this whole little
Swan Lake.
Yeah, I've just been injured. My leg.
Right.
They have to do it every time, and it feels so silly. Come on.
And they tell you like
that's the rule we have.
Let's cut footage of kickers doing that and then turn it into a Life Alert commercial.
Whoa.
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
I love that idea.
and the defender, it's like they tell you like, okay, go all out and dive and block this kick, but don't touch
not touch the
Don't
plant leg.
Don't touch his shoelaces.
Yeah, but
Dude,
you can't
don't touch-
possibly touch this
Touch
player.
a little
Yeah,
bit of him. Don't
Exactly.
touch
Don't
this much.
sniff him on the way under.
right.
No.
And just if he does kick it at that moment, you have to stop on a dime. Don't go near
Yeah,
him.
what the heck? Kind of impossible to ask if we give you
Scooby
these.
Doo levels of stopping. If you're going full speed, just like slam on the brakes, make the skirting
Right.
noise.
If you don't make the skirting noise, it's a penalty.
Right. Like the big example last year, the Patriots Vikings on Thanksgiving. That game was like an awesome back and forth. Like was looking like a great game. And then the backup running back for the Patriots, Pierre Strong, had one of those penalties.
Yeah, strong.
Yeah. And it pretty much just changed the whole game. Just gave the other team a first down that they didn't earn, right? I guess technically their punter earned it by, I have no idea what.
Sounds
Who
like
should-
Belichick's
Technically
losing
they're
control of the team.
Right. It's like, well, for real though, it's like, I don't know. Do you just let them punt it? It's kind of a double-edged sword. So I think they got to figure something out with that.
Dude, what other like how could you make punters or kickers feel more like punks on their own team? Just by
think
making
they-
them like invincible.
I think they like it. I think
You
they
think?
like there's like a power thing to it. Like they're out there with the
Don't touch
strongest
me.
men in the entire world whose purpose is to defeat you. Know what I mean? Like there is a team of 50 of the strongest men you've ever seen in your life trying to defeat you, and they're not even allowed to touch you. You're allowed to stand all in between them. You're going to do something as funny and silly as kick a little ball down the field. Know what I mean? Like you're going to take a ball and kick it while their job out there is to murder. Like, and they're not allowed to touch you.
Yeah.
The kicker. Just like doing ballet through these
And they're always
through this
so
field
much
of like
skinnier.
gladiators about to like ready to kill them.
I'll tell you right now, here's how the rules should work. If there's a punter, right, and he does his little ballet thing and the flag comes in, if the punter then turns and does that stupid like fist pump that they do when they get the call, then you go and pick the flag up. Because
for real.
clearly he wasn't injured on the, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Clearly he wasn't
Super
hurt on the play
theatric.
here, right? Yeah, exactly. Like if they turn around and they're like, yes, or one player on the other team like pats him on the helmet and says, hey, good job there. You pick the flag right up.
Yep.
I want to be honest with myself. I was sitting here about to just go in on kickers. Oh, I would be doing that so hard and would get
course.
such a kick out of it. Every time it got called, it would be like, you idiot, falling for my trap. Like, just
Yeah.
like
I
that
mean-
would feel so good to get such a stupid thing against the other team.
Oh man, it's $1 million job. I would cheat if I had to keep it.
Like a
You know?
true Patriots fan.
What
Like a
happened?
true Patriots fan.
Exactly, dude. I'd be baiting people in to, I kick it with my other foot every once in a while just to trick them into,
Heck, I thought it was this right.
just kick it left. Yeah, kick with the wrong foot just to bait him into like snapping my ankle, and then I would get
Imagine
it
an
Then I get the rest.
ambidextrous NFL kicker.
someday, dude.
Wow.
That's next.
Oh
Tua.
man, my child has no idea, but his life just got ruined. Future child, you are going to become the first NFL ambidextrous kicker. Hope you're born with both your feet.
Oh God. Otherwise, it's gonna be a hard life for you.
I have just cursed my child to have one foot.
Yeah, you have. Tommy in the chat says Pierre Strong.
love him anyway.
Sounds like a villain in a Woody Woodpecker cartoon.
What kind of animal is Pierre Strong?
Pierre Strong, a
It's
bird.
I mean, once you say Pierre, I immediately think of like the
Weasel.
What was that skunk?
Skunk, yeah.
The French.
Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe
Pepe
Le
Le
Pew. Nailed
Le
it, Tail.
Pew.
I was so
Pierre
close, but I
Strong.
wasn't quite there yet.
Pepe Le Pew.
Pierre
What a great
Strong.
name.
Oh, I think he's a French aardvark. Just walks on up.
Hello, I'm Pierre Strong.
I said aardvark, but I am picturing an armadillo. So just imagine a French aardvark that does not know the word for aardvark or for armadillo. So he calls himself an aardvark.
It's just a very confused armadillo.
Doing his best at learning a second
Just
language.
trying his hardest.
Just wants to communicate with his arch nemesis, Woody Woodpecker.
Just
Little
trying
did he
not,
know. Go ahead.
trying not to run into the kicker.
Trying
Trying
not
to
to run
avoid
into
the
the
kicker.
kicker. Uh-huh.
Oh no, I've done it again.
Oh no, Pierre.
Pierre.
Pierre
What,
has done
what
it
have you
again.
done?
Pierre not so strong.
Oh.
Oh.
Speaking of not so strong, did you see this cop-out response from Roger Goodell whenever asked about sports gambling?
No, I didn't
The
see
old
what
one?
it was.
He came out, and this was, the old one from 2016 that people are resurfacing from Ian Rappaport.
Yeah, I did see this.
I didn't
While the
see it. What
NFL
did
is
it say?
now fully embracing sports gambling, they're even voting on legislation to allow sports books open in the stadiums on game days. And here's the quote from Goodell. We remain very much opposed to gambling on sports. We want to make sure we're doing what's right for the game.
2016,
Dang.
Roger Goodell says that. 2023, Roger Goodell says, just kidding. I was just kidding.
He says,
We're
"Oh,
cool.
I was drunk."
Yeah.
Thank
When?
God nobody can do this to our takes from 2016.
Which were all correct. And they all came true.
The cool
Exactly.
thing is, I don't have the authority or power for any of my takes on things like this to even be out there. Know what I mean? Like the worst thing they can pull up is that I was really in on CJ Anderson for a year too long. Know what I mean? Like,
For entirely too long.
like that's
And
how
not
they can
in
get
on
me.
Alvin Kamara for
No,
a
yeah,
little
and-
bit too long.
Exactly. They'll drug up those old takes, but they're not going to get me like having a position that has switched sides so heavily like this, or one that I'm embarrassed of. Know what I mean? If I've
Even
switched
so-
sides, I've already come out and said it.
Right. You already pointed out. As humorous as this is, I do think whenever these types of things happen, they don't really mean much.
Yeah, you're right. It's more
You're
fun
allowed to
just to
switch your
poke fun.
opinion.
It's
Yeah.
funny to poke fun at, but at the time, his job, Coop, you've brought this up before, is to act as a shield for the owners and for the NFL, right? He just absorbs it. In 2016, the narrative, whether his opinion or not, there was a lot more, sports gambling was a lot more taboo in 2016, right? There was misunderstanding about it. There was a lack of education. And so the NFL's position was, no, absolutely not. Heck no, get out of here. Now the landscape has changed. It's okay that he's changed his opinion.
Right.
Right.
And the
It's
thing
just
is,
the NFL's opinion has changed. So Roger Goodell acts as the voice of the NFL. He's the Lorax, but for the owners.
yeah.
Why
In-
does that come up so much on this show?
there's
I
a
haven't
big-
seen the Lorax, and every time it comes up,
Big
I have
Lorax
no
show.
idea what you guys are talking about.
Like in general, we want people to change their opinions. Like
Yep.
that's how science works. You have a hypothesis and then you do some testing on it. And at the end of the day, that's the answer, whether your hypothesis was right or not. You know, like we're trying to it's crazy how many people call politicians and stuff flip-floppers for being like, hey, you know what? I was wrong. Like how there's nothing more noble, I feel, than admitting you were wrong and making sure everybody gets the right info here. So and my take on the gambling thing is, and it is a tough line, but for me, us up here, we don't treat it any differently than we would other taboo or on the line subjects like beers, for instance. Like when I say, oh, go out, I think that this tight end's going to catch more than 50 yards this week. It'll be fun to bet a little money on it. That's what I think it is. It's like a little fun way to enhance your experience. Just like I might say, hey, I tried this IPA this weekend and it was very good. So you should have one. Like we're not sitting here saying go out and mortgage your future on gambling or go out and drink 35 Bud Lights this weekend. It's a matter of doing it responsibly, right? So I think the NFL can find that line, but they really do have to acknowledge that people have problems with it, right?
As things are legalized, and it can become more, there can be more outlets for education as it becomes more normalized, right? The general population can become more educated on responsible gaming and on resources available if you have trouble with it. So the landscape's changing, and Goodell changed his opinion, but it is funny with the current state of what the NFL is doing and then voting on whether they're going to allow sports books in the stadiums on game day. Like at halftime, you can run up to the grab a hot dog and your bet slip and then head back to your seat.
Dude, M&T Bank, I think, is already moving in that direction. Last time I was there, pretty sure they were like teasing that there's a sports book in the stadium.
But it was
not open.
They can have sports books in the stadiums now, if I understand the rule correctly.
Like Washington was like the first one to get it, weren't they?
Yeah, they just can't be open on game days. Like whenever there's an NFL game, they can't be open.
Well, that's not true. When there's not an NFL game day.
That's going to be
sometimes you do.
That would make for a pretty.
Sometimes I am there.
That would make for a pretty funny moment, though. Like you're sitting there, it's like you're a Dolphins fans playing against the Jets, and you're losing by like 20, and you're just like, you know what? I'm a Jets fan now, and everyone's like, no, you're not. And then you just get up and go put like $100 bet on the Jets and come back with the ticket, and you're like, now I'm rooting for the Jets.
Suck it.
Like that is the easiest way to change fandom mid-game, right?
I like it.
100%.
I don't see why it can't be open during the game.
Because they're still trying to keep that separation between gambling and the league itself, right? Like, I feel like the current stance is there's gambling, but do it over there. Like, here's our product, and this would be fully saying, here it is, right here, next to me, my best friend.
I will say, like, the concern is that people that are like a bit out of control with it, like they could, before, the worst that your game day experience could be is you go and watch the home team and they lose. Now your game day experience can get quite a bit worse.
Yeah.
Can it not? We have NKC in the chat with a little news he wanted to share. Bobby Wagner got re-signed. He says his best friend is happy about that. I'm assuming your best friend is probably a Seattle Seahawks fan. Yeah, good morning. Because it sounds from what I saw, Bobby's going back to the Seahawks. Is that that's the case, right?
That's finito. Finalized the deal with him this weekend.
Yeah.
Seahawks fans have got to be pretty happy.
Yeah, good player, man. Good player.
The Roger Goodell situation, them voting on allowing gambling in the sports books on Sundays, feels exactly like someone who's been dating their partner for a couple of years, and they basically spend every night at their house, but they have their own place. But like we're talking, they even have drawers at your home, right? Like they keep stuff there. They're spending 90% of nights there. They run home to pick up stuff, say hello to the roommate, check in they're not dead. But whenever they ask to move in, you freak out. Like, no, what? We're not ready to move in yet, no, even though they're basically already living with you. That's what this vote feels like. Like we've got sports books in the stadiums. 50% of the commercials during these games are like FanDuel with a random dude playing cornhole or Kevin Hart screaming. Exactly. But yet they're voting.
Like screaming.
Like
underdog. I thought it was the overdog.
Man. The first time I saw that commercial, I was like, stupid. And now I'm sitting there barking along with them.
We make you tip when you have pants on.
Hey, JL, I don't know if you think you're muted, but
knew I wasn't. Did it on purpose.
Of course.
You got some dirty ears?
Got some dirty ears, dude. My ears been so itchy the last
few
days.
My God, dude. So
I don't know what is going on.
I've been meaning to, I was actually going to bring that up that I don't have Q-tips in my house right now. And I know you're not supposed to put them in your ear, but obviously that's what they're for. Dude, I know exactly how you feel, JL. Is there a shortage right now? Is that what's happening?
I don't know.
Shortage. I think I've got 14,000 in one box of them under my sink.
Wow. Now I know why there's a shortage.
It feels like Q-tip boxes are either full or empty. Like it's never halfway full. You get these giant containers, and then one day they're just
How
all
do they
gone.
get empty? Yeah, that's so true, Simon. But I actually don't know how they get empty.
Also, why is Rosie? First of all, very impressive. Rosie can fetch you a Q-tip.
Oh yeah,
But
father.
why are you making her put pants on?
Because I hate when she walks around with no pants on.
It's fair.
Rosie needs pants.
Disgusting.
This is absolutely
Rosie.
disgusting. Dogs aren't wearing pants.
She walks in the room and just like, Rosie.
Stop! I want to see your butt.
How dare you? What is it with like cartoon animals that so they often wear a shirt but don't wear pants? Like
Pooh,
why
Donald
even
Duck.
have them? Like all of them? Yeah, Winnie the Pooh is probably the best
The
example.
premier.
I-
He's
I don't-
The
trendsetter.
premium. He's not even wearing a shirt that's like the right size, dude. He's
I
wearing
don't
like a
know
crop
about
top.
Pooh Bear, but with Donald Duck, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but duck nipples are grotesque. Just disgusting.
No, I have. I can assure you that I've never seen them.
They're covered in spikes and they ooze blood.
Oh,
So
no,
it would
dude.
be just absolutely awful for Disney to allow
Stop.
a duck to walk around shirtless. They have to
Stop.
keep Donald Duck shirted at all times.
Stop
Right.
it.
Yeah,
I'm
can
just
we
kidding about duck nipples. By the
can
way.
we talk about Winnie the Pooh's shirt here for just a second?
Sure,
like,
of course.
sure.
We
Who-
cover all important topics.
Who designed this shirt? Because it's not even close to being big enough to being a real shirt. Like, pull this up. Can we, Keith? Can you get Winnie the Pooh up here, dude? What is
No, I'm
going
looking at it.
on here? What is the deal, dude? It stops
It's
at
a
his
crop
armpit.
top.
Like,
It's a
not
crop
even
top for sure.
not even Zeke or David and Njoku would wear that thing.
I think Christopher Robin probably gave it to him and told him he looked cute in it, and so he just wears it forever, vying for his attention.
It's the same one that he got when he was like a little tiny bear, and now
A little cub.
Yeah, it's
A
like
little Winnie the Cub.
outrageous business, dude. Get some pants.
Get some
Like, if you-
pants, Winnie the Pooh.
I think if he had pants, it would really highlight how bad of a shirt that is.
We should do a group watching of the Winnie the Pooh horror movie that came out recently or is coming out. Have you guys watched the trailer for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey?
No, can't say I have.
Oh, so
It's
actually,
just like a 50 Cent, like blood in the sand.
I haven't seen the trailer, but I've heard of the I've heard the premise, and it looks pretty messed up.
Yeah, the whole premise, if you haven't heard of it, is that Christopher Robin, there's Winnie.
What are you doing? What is that shirt? And what is Piglet wearing? Is that like a singlet? What are we doing here?
Come on. Yeah, you can tell Christopher Robin dressed these animals.
Yeah.
But the
They look
premise
ridiculous.
of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is that Christopher Robin left and went about his life. Know what I mean? Like he grew up, he wasn't a kid anymore, so he didn't come back to the 100-acre wood, but then he went back with his college girlfriend or something to revisit his childhood area and say hi to his friends. But they had turned feral because he abandoned them. And so now they are
Oh.
murderous animals in the 100-acre wood.
How did they
pissed at
get rights to
Christopher
this?
Robin. Well, because it hit open domain or open whatever it's
Yeah.
called. Like it had been enough years.
Oh,
Winnie the Pooh is now, you can do whatever you want with that property. It's no longer copyrighted.
wow.
And so they're making that
That's wild.
I'm sure that's gonna be traumatizing.
public domain. That's the word I was looking for. Tommy, you're the man.
Wow, what did you say? I thought I heard you say
I
public
said
domain.
open domain.
Close enough. That's not
Awesome.
weird enough for us to make fun of you over, which is disappointing.
Yeah, we usually like doing that.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
do.
so much better, guys.
Dude,
So
show
much
me.
better.
I am so jealous, bro.
Show
Like,
us the wax.
No, please don't.
No, I'm not gonna show you that.
Damn it. I thought I could get you to do it.
Damn it.
Look at me like, what are you doing?
Welcome to our new segment. Cleaning
the
wax.
ourselves. Show us your wax.
Show us your wax. Come on in, everybody. I think
That
we
was
actually
your
just
beat.
dropped to 0 viewers on YouTube as we did
Did
that.
we find the one thing that nobody fetishizes?
Yes. Smash that
Your
thumbs
wax.
down. Smash that
Smash
thumbs
that
down
thumbs
button
down.
if you want to never do show us your wax.
Speaking of wax, did you guys see this rumor? Which I don't know what to take from this. This comes from Destin Adams on Twitter. He said, sources tell me a Colts plane had an extended stay in Baltimore this week. No reason has been given for the visit at this time, but something to monitor going forward.
It was empty.
Oh.
What?
Are they
It's that time of year. This is it happens like, especially with the coach search in college football, the plane tracking is off the charts. I don't see it in NFL as much, but as the season starts ending in college football, half of their posts on Reddit are all plane tracking. This coach seen here, this coach seen here, this coach seen here. That's what's going on here. With Lamar Jackson, there being so much uncertainty, people are starting to plane track to see if they can
That's
get
what they're talking
any
about.
clues.
Simon, I couldn't even get to that point. I was just like, why would they be staying in Baltimore? Why would that be
Is there a
news?
game? Are they just early?
Are they coming back?
Yeah,
Are they returning to
the-
Baltimore?
Did they forget
After all these
something?
years, yeah, they left in the middle of the night and now they're back.
Now they're
They've-
coming back
They forgot their keys whenever they moved location, so they were just coming back to get them.
all the way in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah, I was just double check because I forgot which way it went. Whether it was like they it was a team that left in the middle of the night. They say right.
Yeah.
But it was they left Baltimore to go to Indianapolis. That was the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking up. I was just going to look that up. The Baltimore Colts, and
Oh, dude,
apparently
I got a pen. Hold on.
the original team name for the Baltimore Colts was the Miami Seahawks.
The Miami Seahawks.
Yeah.
And then there were
So-
a couple iterations between that, right?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I think at least a couple. But Miami Seahawks, dude, why? There is no such bird as a Seahawk. Why were there multiple organizations? Ooh,
Higher,
that's
higher.
nice.
Oh, that's sick.
That's fancy.
1958 National League champions.
Too many lights.
That was my
That's-
best horse.
That was a nice Winnie.
Thanks. I've been practicing.
Winnie the horse.
And I'm not lying. I have been practicing because I did a couple really embarrassing ones on the other show.
Well,
Just abysmal.
I appreciate you putting in the work.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Speaking of work, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid expects Sky Moore to step up. He's got to get that work done. You guys think Patrick Mahomes is going to have another weapon in Sky Moore this year, kind of elevate himself to another level, or do you think this is just a coach hyping up his rookie?
Coach hyping up his rookie because they got Kadarius Toney there. What do they need Sky Moore
Toney.
for?
Casquarius Green Jr. I'm pretty, at this point, I'm much more excited about Tony just because the yards per route run, he was just much more efficient with his limited snap share than Sky Moore was. And that's
Yeah.
kind of at the end of the day, we don't have much more to go off.
Well, Andy Reid, that's how we feel about that. So thanks in case you were waiting on our response.
Andy Reid also, I saw a comment from him while they were doing a little press conference business, said that Patrick Mahomes' ankle that he hurt didn't need to have surgery. And it kind of healed on its own. It's good to go. So people don't really, I figured that, there'd be some sort of cleanup or something, but no, he's good to go. So
That's
Awesome.
great. Yeah.
I love that.
We were worried about that going in towards the end of last season, him playing through that. That's fantastic news. It's the best kind of news we can get.
Exactly. Like the last thing you want to hear is that there's they got to do some tinkering and now he's got a rehab and then there could be injuries that span from that. Oh, good to go.
Can we stop saying cleanup and tinker when referring to the innards of somebody's ankle?
Yeah.
Coop
Yeah.
was like, yeah, you thought they'd have to clean it up or something. And the visual that popped up in my mind without even wanting it was vile. Clean up. Yeah, let's just clean it up.
Just a little
Ugh.
broom. They get in there a
Stop
little,
it.
little brush.
Oh,
They scope it out.
oh, my mom was talking about something like that. She's talking about when they go in and clean your arteries, and she's like roto rooter. She used that
Like
verb.
the plumber.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I don't know. Stuff like that does make me squeamish, but hey, say it's life-saving modern science, but I just don't tell me about stents and stuff like that. I don't
that's
hear it.
dense. Yeah.
I was watching a new show this weekend while I was cleaning. Just put it on the TV while I was cleaning, and it had this stuff in there that usually really grosses me out that we're talking about. But it was so interesting. I just kept watching, and it's a wildly popular show. But have you guys watched Alone? I wanted just reality TV on in the background.
No.
It's where they have 10 people, and you're allowed to bring 10 items from a
Oh
list
yeah,
of
I
50,
love that show. Okay, I
and
was
they
just
drop you
waiting
off
to
in the
confirm.
wilderness.
Yeah, and they do it. It's like that island in Vancouver that sucks, dude.
They do different locations based on the season. The season I'm watching, it's up there in Canada and British Columbia, and there's grizzly bears all over the
Oh.
island. So there's just it's a grizzly bear infested island, and they're not allowed to hunt them. So they're just being hunted by grizzly bears the entire
Oh
time
my
they're there.
God.
But what it is, like whenever they like kill an animal, usually that's something I would not want to watch. But something about like they haven't eaten in 8 days makes it less gross to watch them gut a fish.
Right.
Like it,
Yeah.
it truly wasn't as hard or usually I would be like, ew. I was like, oh, thank God he's got that fish.
It's like,
While
yeah,
you're
it's like
sitting
some,
there eating your
I-
Chipotle.
Yesterday during an episode, I'm sitting there like munching. I just made like 12 cheese tortillas, right? I just like melted a bunch of cheese. I'm picking out in the bed, and this guy goes, "Who are you to judge me?" He looks into his GoPro. He goes, "Sitting at home, you're eating right now, and you're judging me."
5 minutes
Tortilla half in
cheese.
my mouth, like
Yeah.
oil
Oh,
all
no.
over my face.
You're eating that, and then you look at his like fish, and you're like, that looks pretty good. Yeah.
You're like, honestly, I could see why you would eat that now. I'm
do
pretty
that.
hungry.
I do that on Survivor too. Like I'm watching, and I'm like, I could go for some rice right now.
We got Dustin in here saying, "Sup, guys? Alone is
It
great."
is great.
Sup,
So
Dustin?
I'm still. I got to get back in there. I only watched the early seasons, but I just remember them going to Patagonia. Did you see that season?
I'm only season 8, 6 episodes.
Oh,
of it is
okay.
what I've
So
seen so far.
I started the beginning, and it was the
Only
very first
season 8.
season. Dude, they go to Patagonia, and all these like professional survivalists are there, and they're just like, this place is uninhabitable. Like I feel like that season is like the winner was out there for like a week, and then they were just like, no, dude, let's get
Too
out
hard.
of here. Yeah, this sucks.
I asked my girlfriend how long she thinks she could last on this grizzly bear island, and she was like, "No lie, I legitimately think I'd be dead within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like, not push
No
the
one's
button
died
to
on
get
those
someone to
shows,
save
right?
me." They've got some. They give them safety equipment and things like that. No one's died, but I assume there is the real risk. Like on this grizzly bear infested island, sure they've got like bear spray and stuff like that, but bears
They do.
can be up to 1,000 pounds. And if a bear wanted to do something, it probably could. Now, you're right. No one's ever died on the show.
But most
Dude, that
players,
was almost
most players
Memorial, last time was about a guy who died from a bear, grizzly bear.
Bears are scary, man.
was it
They're
Timothy?
so cool,
was it
though.
about Timothy
Yeah.
Leary, the Grizzly
Treadwell.
man, Timothy Treadwell. Yeah, was it gonna be him?
Then it was.
That's such a good one, dude. That guy was pretty wild behavior from that
Yeah.
fella. Yeah, but on that show alone, like a lot of the contestants that do get ruled out, it's because the medics come out and they're like, dude, you lost like 40 pounds. Like you're going to die.
This one dude who came in very overweight, and then like 25 days in, they're like, he has lost 55 pounds
Oh my
since
God.
starting his
Yeah.
journey.
He's
And he's
like,
still a
"Kill
big
me."
dude, but you're like, good God.
Imagine that was
That's
the secret,
hilarious.
just to go out there just being so chunky
Starve yourself
Which-
out there.
and just find a little bit of water, and then you're just like, oh, I just kind of hung out.
He does got the reserves. You just spend a year putting on weight. Get out there.
Get
Oldest
out
trick
there.
in- Oldest trick in the book.
You're going to just outstarve him.
I remember watching one of them where this guy was so good at it that he like went out and he built the craziest shelter with like all this working stuff. He even built this little like football game that he could like roll dice that he made and play football, like just like watching a game, like, as he's doing it. And then one day he was just like, I missed my wife. And he picked up the thing and he was like, coming home. And they came and picked him up, and he had like a mansion that he built in the woods. And they're like, "You're done?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm going."
I'm good.
He could have just lived out there. I'm not even kidding. Like he was like
I'm done.
he had like a box like that he built in the floor that was filled with salmon. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of living the dream out there, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go home."
That's what one of these days there's going to be a Ron Swanson-esque person who goes out there, and they're going to tell him the show's over, and he's going to be like, "Oh, I'm good." They're like, "What about the prize money?"
The what?
Don't need it.
No, we're good.
Well, what are we doing now?
I'm
He's
going to
just like-
stay here. I gotta clean up and go.
Yeah,
He comes back like a week later and just stays there.
he's just the host of the show now.
Speaking of hosts of the show, I saw this one. It's about the rule changes that have been proposed for this upcoming year. Jordan Rodriguez tweeted out, she said, interesting notes presented by Rams and prelims with committee on their RTP rule change proposal. Their analytics crew found a 40% increase in scoring rate on a drive-in, which the foul was called. Talk about roughing the passer, compared to one explosive pass play, which triples score rate on a drive. 40% increase from roughing the passer.
Wait. I'm a little bit confused about what you're saying. Are you saying that whenever on the free play, it is triple the likelihood that it scores than the effect of a roughing the passer penalty.
On a drive, in which a roughing the passer penalty is called, the team that is driving is 40% more likely to score on that drive.
And then what was the next part about the punt?
Compared to one that is the punt play. No, sorry, that's not related
compared to
the
like
punt
a
before.
so what were
Compared
the
to one-
odds on like there's like one big play? How much does that increase the odds?
It triples the score rate.
Okay, so
So
100
33% compared to 40%.
Oh, 33%. Wouldn't triple be 300%?
I don't know.
So I guess what I was asking here is this seems like what it was highlighting is that the free play is significantly more valuable than the penalty.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Roughing the
that
passer, yeah. But not
Is
the
that what
play, not just the free play. It's the roughing the
It's on
penalty.
it's on the entire drive.
It's
Simon,
on
so
the
like-
drive, yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying a big explosive play by comparison would triple the score rate on a drive.
Right. Which I mean makes a lot of sense. You give a team 15 yards and a first down, of course that's going to
It's going to increase their
yeah.
likelihood, yeah.
But 40% is quite a bit. I feel like that's maybe a little too much, dude.
I think that's the point that the Rams are making here in their proposal to change the rule. I don't know what they're changing to.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that we do this every time. The number one version of this argument is about defensive pass interference, where we look at it and there's a bomb downfield and it's a kind of a close call, but you know, it should be pass interference. We give that team 50 yards, right? That's a 50-yard play. But then when you get down to it and you say, oh, well, what should it be? It's hard to come up with an argument that is in between. Because if there is a play in the end zone and you can stop that person and have it only be a 15-yard penalty, people are going to do that every single time. So it's kind of tough where it's like with the hitting the quarterback thing, what should the penalty be if it's not going to be a first down and 15 yards? Because
I guess one creative solution is it is 15 yards, but there is like a cap, like a personal foul type system with pass interference. Know what I mean? If you get 3 pass interference calls, you're ejected from the game. But I don't like that either. But you're right, Coop. Like it probably is just the full length of the field because otherwise you get the part where any long bomb touchdown, they're just going to try to trip the guy up.
Right. And same with the hitting the quarterback thing. It's like, it's almost you don't want it to ever be worth it just to crush the quarterback. Because look at the Eagles 49ers game. When Brock Purdy left that game, it was pretty much over. Yeah. Right. So you don't want that to be on the table. But at this point, I don't think it is. Maybe you could do it. Maybe a more fair rule rather than 15 yards and the first down is 10 yards and repeat of down. That way, if the defense has earned up to that point, like let's say it's 3rd and 17, right? If the defense has played well enough to get to that point, and then a play like that happens, now it's 3rd and 7. And all is not lost, but you've given enough incentive to not do it, right? And now the offense has a legitimate, they get to redo the down and it's a little bit easier. Because I don't know, it is tough, especially with the kicker one. It's so bad because at that point the ball's already going the other way, but 15 yards and automatic first down it's a massive, massive swing. So I think they need to look at all those and figure out the best way to police them, because especially with the running into the kicker, what is the incentive to run into the kicker? Like
right.
It's, you know what I mean? Like taking the punter out of the game, like there's no bounty on the punter. You're not trying to hurt this guy. All you want to do is
trying to block.
Yeah, you're trying to block the kick. And like, it's just, I just don't even see how the penalty stops people from trying to block the kick. Like you're always trying to do the same thing.
You're just trying to do it a little more carefully, which is fine,
Right.
but you're still going to have error.
Yeah.
When the whole point of the play is to just go hard and throw yourself and block.
I know, dude. If it's that dangerous of a play, maybe you take the play out. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on a little mini baseball rant about something very similar that happened this weekend. If you're interested in that, JL.
Go for it.
So I'm watching the Royals play the Dodgers in a spring training game for some reason. I'm not even a fan of either team. I'm watching spring training baseball.
Just had some extra time to burn this weekend.
Yes. So I'm watching the Royals play the Dodgers, and there's a runner on first, one out, ball gets hit to the left side, right? This guy, Nate Eaton, could run straight to the bag. Instead, he dips down into the infield and then comes up and slides right into the shortstop. Literally the play that they made illegal to prevent injuries. The play where Manny Machado hurt Dustin Pedroia, right? So I make the fatal mistake of going over to Twitter and saying, "Oh, I wonder what people are saying about this play." And sure enough, all the old-timey baseball heads are on there and they're like, "Oh, what a wily veteran play. What a smart play to slide
Wait, what's the
directly
play
into this
again?
guy's leg."
Slide into the shortstop wall in between bases.
So it's breaking up a double play where it used to be legal to slide into the player to break up the play. And
Slide into what
so
player?
slide into the shortstop. So the shortstop is trying to catch the ball and throw it to first base. It used to be legal to slide into that player and like take out his leg so he can't throw it to first. Now that's no longer legal. As of 2015, that's not allowed anymore.
Hmm.
So he slides in, does this play, and people on Twitter are arguing that this is still a good play, that it's still a smart play, even though it's within the definition of the rules that you can no longer do this. And baseball hasn't even started yet, and I'm already tired of the gray areas and the unwritten rules that come with this game. Like baseball is the only game that has a second set of unwritten rules that have to be policed by beating the other player on the other team with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Right, like a guy comes from left field off the field and he accidentally steps on the mound. So now next inning we have to give him a free base. What a ridiculous way to play this game. I wish someday there was a coach like Bill Belichick that actually had the stones to come in and start taking advantage of that, because I guarantee by the end of the week, those rules would be written down. So, unwritten rules are not for me. That's what I'm getting at here. And I'm already tired of baseball.
The unwritten rules part, yeah, that is kind of silly to me because I'm very much if it's in the rules, you're allowed to play by it type of guy. And
Right.
so to just have unwritten ones in there that are because that's how we played the game before, to me is you're asking for trouble. The moment that somebody breaks the rules, you're gonna get upset. And we've seen that in baseball time and time again. What was the
Yes.
one a few years ago? There was the unwritten rules. I remember because I tweeted about it in relation to fantasy. I just don't remember
It
what the
it could have
actual.
been it could have been any number of 100 instances that have
There
come
was a
up.
big one though. There was a
Yeah.
big unwritten
Yeah.
rules of baseball moment like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of them. Like, one example is like if you're up by a certain number of runs, then you stop stealing. And then if a guy, if you're up by like 10 or whatever, and a guy steals second base, now you have to hit him with a fastball, and everybody has to come out from the benches and shove each other a little bit, and the manager gets suspended for one game. Like that's what has to happen if you steal a base. Yet, we've seen teams come back from down by 10 runs, down by 15 runs, but there's a code of etiquette that we have to follow, and somebody needs to pay via fastball, right? So it's so silly to me. Like if you don't want guys stealing when their team's up by 10, then put a rule in place. No stealing when a team's up by 10, right? Put like if that's a rule, it's a rule. If it's not a rule, then shut the hell up.
It was August 2020 was the time that this would have happened. And I'm seeing an athletic article talking about the unwritten rules and a picture of the Padres. So there was something that happened in August of 2020 that made me get into it. August 19th, 2020.
So what was it?
I don't know. Oh, Fernando Tatis
Yeah, the shortstop.
might have been him.
So Tommy in the chat is saying it was a hidden ball in the glove thing. Picked a guy off of at third, which is bush league, but funny. Yeah, I mean hidden ball trick is hidden ball trick is awesome. Forget bush league. Bush league to me, like that the sliding in to break up the double play at this point, like that is now illegal. It's illegal to go out of your way to make contact with this player. They've made the bases bigger. They've put it in the rules that you can't go out of your way to make contact with the guy. That to me is bush league because somebody could get hurt. That's a player safety thing. Hidden ball trick, that's just good old fashioned fun. Pay attention, right? Like if you have a good first base coach or third base coach, you're never going to fall for a hidden ball trick because they are paying attention. You know, so if you can catch somebody with that, I'm all for that. But to get upset that you fell for it to the point where your pitcher has to hit somebody with a fastball, that is stupid and it's childish.
So this is the one that I was referring to. Was he got up to the plate? His team was leading 10-3 in the 8th inning. Bases were loaded, 3-0, and so the unwritten quote that he broke was that he should have taken the pitch and not swung at the 3-0 pitch,
Dumb.
in which he did and scored
Dumb.
and got a grand slam.
Yes, dumb. That's the
So,
dumbest thing.
You're supposed to not play the guy. Like, why go up there then? Just walk the guy. Why are we doing
Dude,
the whole?
There's a
I'm gonna
million.
throw it. Take the
There's
pitch.
yeah, you're supposed no, you're supposed it's the unwritten rule is that you're supposed to like let him try and throw a strike, right? And it's just like all that stuff to me, such a joke. Gator J says bat flips. Yeah, you don't want the guy flipping the bat, don't let him hit a home run. Either that or make bat flips illegal. Until then, bat flips are awesome. That's cool, dude. And if you strike somebody out, then do a cartwheel. I don't care. Like the whole idea that like you have to hit somebody with a ball is absurd. And I'm telling you, if I was Belichick, I'd say, hey, you know what? You hit home run, flip the bat every time, dude. Flip the guy the bird. Whatever you can do without getting a penalty, do it. And then maybe next inning, they'll give us a free base, a free walk. You know, you might have to take one on the butt cheek. I'd have my guys going up there dressed like a samurai, wearing like, you know, all the padding, all the elbow pads and thigh pads and knee pads and whatever. And sure, you know, I'll bat flip and then you can give me a free base next inning and I'll bat 700.
Right.
So yeah, unwritten rules. It's about time that somebody stepped up and started taking advantage of that. And Tommy says it was grand slam 3-0 pitch up 7 runs. Yeah, don't be serving up meatballs if you don't want to eat them. You know,
don't be serving up meatballs if you don't want to eat them.
Exactly. What? Because some old timey dude back in the day made some arcane rule that's not even an actual rule. Show me where in the rule book it says you can't hit a grand slam on that pitch, Tommy, and then I'll be like, okay. Until then, dude, that sounds like the perfect pitch to hit a grand slam on.
Yeah, it sounds like any pitch which you can hit a grand slam on would be a good pitch to hit a grand slam on, according to the rules of the game.
According to the rules of the game, yeah. But according to this secret set of rule books, and like the jail, when I say step on the mound, there have been fights over that. There's been fights because players stepped on the first baseline. Like you're not supposed to. There's certain like etiquette as far as where you're supposed to walk and who's supposed to be able to go on the field first and all these things. And to me, it's a joke. Yeah, and Tommy says it correctly. Baseball is for babies.
Baseball is for babies. I love the game of baseball.
I do love it, but it's just like that part of it to me never made sense.
Especially in a game where like the statistics are so exact, like everything is a very exact sport in a lot of ways. I guess football is kind of the same way. We talk about that with the chains, right? 4th and inches, how like the lack of it being precise or accurate, I guess, right? People coming up and these refs are just eyeballing this one measurement where other areas were measuring really closely. It feels like baseball is kind of similar here, but anyways, let's get into our game of Weddle here. Coop, if this is your first time playing with us, play along weddlegame.com in the chat. Throw in the link in there. It's an NFL guessing game that we like to play on some mornings.
Let's do it.
Who should we start with this time, Weddle?
How about we start with Jeff Wilson Jr.
Jeff Wilson Jr.
How did we do?
All right. We did terribly. Not on Miami, not in the AFC. He's not a running back. He's taller than 6'2". He is either 25 or 24. And his number is lower than 21.
Okay.
So 20 or lower, 6'3" or higher.
All right. It doesn't really narrow down the position much, though. There's only so many tight ends that almost all the tight ends are number like 80 something because that's what they all grew up wearing. There's a handful like Kyle Pitts and Evan Ingram, but neither one of them would fit this. So it's probably a quarterback or a wide receiver. Why don't we throw an NFC wide receiver out there?
NFC wide receiver. Terry McLaurin's number 1. It's probably not him.
Might be.
What about Moondog? Is he tall?
Yes, he is.
Oh, but his number is high. He's like 80 or something.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this is a low number guy.
Moondog is it's a low number guy. So it could have been the first one you suggested. It could be Terry McLaurin.
McLaurin. Is he 25 or 24?
Yeah,
Feels like 25.
Yeah.
You want to try him?
25. 27. Jeez.
Oh, all right. So he is in the NFC, not in the NFC East. He is a wide receiver. McLaurin is also 6 foot, so didn't get much information there. And his age 27, so younger. So he has to be 25.
And this person has to be much taller than 6. So he has to be at least 6'3" or 6'4".
6'3", and 17 is still too high. And so it's got his number. The jersey number has to be 14 or lower.
Simon says Michael Thomas. Receiver. Michael Thomas is 30 years old. So it's not Michael Thomas. But it could be, let's see, 20. So he has to be 25 years old, you said?
Yeah. What about DK? What number is DK?
DK he's a single digit number. I'm fairly confident.
Want to try DK?
Yeah, get him in there.
DK Metcalf is correct. Let's go. Third guess.
That's a big snipe because we didn't have that much info. There's so many wide receivers out there. So.
NFC wide receiver who's middle-aged and middle-aged for wide receivers and a little bit and a low number.
Nipped it, dude.
Gator said get DK as 14, which would fit. So we nailed it. Well done. Well done, Coop. Well done, chat.
We done it.
We did it. We did it. I'm so proud of us. Well, coming up, we got some more fun and games for you. We got some poll perceptions to sell me this pen. And we're going to be here answering some Reddit. So stay tuned here with us on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Bettor Sports Network.
As a longtime baseball fan, here's my message to other baseball fans, to steal a line from the Packers' future Hall of Fame quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, RELAX. Everyone needs to relax after what we saw this past weekend as spring training games out in Arizona and down in Florida got going, and we're inching closer and closer to Major League Baseball opening day. The rule changes in Major League Baseball is not for myself. It's not for you out there, the hardened baseball fan, whether you're a fan 5, 10, 15, 30, or even 50 years. From all around this great country. It's not for those that are going to be locked in. It's for trying to generate more fans. So if they want the pitcher to go out there and work in rhythm with a guy on base, begin to wind up within 20 seconds, nobody on base, begin to wind up within 15 seconds, or have the batter make sure that he's back in the batter's box within 8 seconds, then making the base pass first, second, and third bigger, eliminating the shift. All of this is to make the game better. We've seen leagues, whether it be the National Football League, do they get to the same league as it is today in 2023, or what we saw in 2022 as it was 30 years ago? No, it's not. Is NBA basketball the same? No. How many games do you see being played? 83-79 finals. You don't see that at all. So every league adjusts to try and bring what? More fans into the sport. And that is something that Major League Baseball is going out there and trying to do. I've been critical at times of Rob Manfred, whether or not as a MLB commissioner, whether he likes the sport based on some of the rhetoric that he has spewed in years gone by. But I got to be honest with you, as a longtime baseball fan, I've been a Yankee fan my entire life. Watched a ton of Met games here in the tri-state area. Watched baseball all around. Can't wait for October baseball. Think it's absolutely unbelievable what is transpiring now and what's happening now, and the rule changes being brought about baseball. It's going to bring back to the game to when I became a fan, where the stolen base was something, moving guys over was something, having men on base, batting averages ascending, not being an all or nothing league where either you're striking out or hitting the ball over the fence. And that is what baseball is trying to do. So as everybody tries to adjust, and change is difficult, whether you're changing your diet, exercise routine, changing your relationships, changing a job, change is different. I get that. And it's hard. But let's take a step back. Let's understand what Major League Baseball is trying to do here. And they're trying to repopulate or repopularize the sport. That's what they're trying to do. They're clearly the third most popular sport in the United States. They want to make it less regionalized. This is the way they need to go about doing it. I'm all for it. For more content like this, download the Bettor Sports Network app or go to bettorsports.com.
Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show, brought to you by the Bettor Sports Network. Coop and the Hogs is back in town, baby. Woo! Whoa! Let's go. We got Coop and the
back in
Hogs. Theme song, I
town.
think.
Just play Finn Lizzy, the boys are back in town on repeat. Oh, just the part where he goes, the boys are back. The boys are back. The boys are back. The boys are back. Do you think we'll get picked up by the MCA request for just whispering the boys are back?
Yeah.
We know what you're doing. We know what you're.
You can't get past us and our bots.
We know what
That's
you were
for
playing
sure.
there. Yeah.
Well, we're
I
going to
think-
get into our next segment here called Post-Mortem. We're going to be talking about the Buffalo Bills this past season, everything that went down, how the season went for them, just recapping, remembering, and doing all things that require memory and the Buffalo Bills. How many different ways can I say memory and Bills? We'll see.
So I was going to let you keep going, see if you can do a few more.
We'll find out.
A stroll down memory lane, which happens to be in Buffalo, New York.
Which happens to be in Buffalo with our good friend Sal Capaccio. Coop,
Terry Pagula.
the Buffalo Bills, they were supposed to have a very good season. I think all season they were the Super Bowl favorites. They finished the regular season 13-3. What do you remember of this Buffalo Bills season? What stood out to you? What are some fantasy takeaways?
I mean, I said it on this show, all pretty much the whole start of the season, all August, all September. I said, I think the Buffalo Bills are going to regret not pushing the chips and going all in a little harder. And your Baltimore Ravens, I think, probably learned this lesson this year as well, which is that if you think you have just enough weapons to win, then you do not have enough. If you think, like, because we think about what the Rams when they won. Not only were they loaded on weapons, but they went out and traded for Odell Beckham Jr. just to be sure. You know, when though they lost Robert Woods, it worked out well for them. They did win the Super Bowl, right? If you look at the team they played that year, the Cincinnati Bengals, they've never shied away from weapons. They hit on T. Higgins when they already had Tyler Boyd, and they said that's not enough. We're going to draft another wide receiver at 4 overall.
With
right?
no
So,
line.
But no line. You'll figure that out later, dude. That's not our problem. They have Joe Mixon. This team went in. They did the right thing trading for Stephon Diggs, but since then they just trying to fill that other spot with John Brown and Emmanuel Sanders and Gabriel Davis. It's not enough. Like, you need to have in this league, in this day and age, at least 2 premier premium pass catchers, which Dawson Knox is a solid player. Gabriel Davis, absolutely a good role player. The rest of those guys, the 100-man slot army of Jameson Crowder and Isaiah McKenzie and Khalil Shaker, like this year, I truly thought that they were going to go out and get somebody and leave no stone unturned because the window is now. So I don't know. If I'm them, I'm seriously considering going out and drafting a high-end option in this draft, right? I think they're fine at running back with James Cook and now that they added David Harris, and they obviously have the battering ram Josh Allen. But I don't know. What do you think, JL?
Battering ram.
Right. Like, do you think they have the weapons they need, or what do you think?
I think it's a tricky situation. When you have a player like Stephon Diggs, I don't think it's as simple as loading up your wide receiver room because you risk alienating your top option. We've seen Stephon Diggs get upset before if he's not getting the opportunity. And so I agree with you, Koo. From a strategic standpoint, as the GM or the coach, I'm trying to give myself as much of a chance to win, regardless of what happens outside of my control, which is going to be primarily injury. And so I'm with you. I think it is the right strategic move. I can understand why they might be hesitant in getting another big name guy to siphon away opportunities from Stephon Diggs, though.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like he got 150 targets, and they threw enough that the rest of the guys got a decent amount of targets. They were just terrible with them. Like, just take Gabe Davis's targets and give it to somebody that's better. That's what
Yeah.
it's not like you have to take away from Diggs. And at this point, I think Diggs is probably, yeah, at a
But I
certain
think
point,
one causes the other, right? Is if you're better than Gabe Davis, you're probably going to command more targets than Gabe Davis.
yeah. But Diggs, like at this stage of the game, I doubt he would sit there and be like, "Oh, we're undefeated, but I didn't get the ball enough." Like
We saw him do that this season, though. We saw him do that. They weren't undefeated, but they were 13-3.
but he was only upset in the games where they lost.
I don't know. I don't remember exactly which games it was. I just distinctly remember watching him at various games throughout the season be like him talking to McDermott and then being like going back and forth because of this.
But I mean, that's something that he did going back to his time at Maryland, right? Like
Yeah, it's any wide
that's why
receiver
he's
that a big name wide receiver like that. They typically they do react. This is their money. This is their opportunity, right? Of course, they want to play the game. They want to feel in control. They feel like they're the best weapon on the team. They want the ball. It makes complete sense. The team's got to consider that, though.
But I think that at this stage, if you're going to lose because you don't have enough weapons, it's like if you have a happy Stephon Diggs and you get eliminated from the playoffs every year, to me at this point, that's no longer an option. Like if they have to trade Stephon Diggs, then maybe they have to do that. But just giving the guy 150 targets and losing, they got to do something else. They got to add better weapons. I don't think I mean, maybe they just run it back with the same team and the same thing happens. Or maybe they run it back with the same team and they win this year. But I don't know. I don't know.
I do feel like this is they're a victim of variance a bit in just the last couple of years. They're probably one of the best NFL teams in the league.
I mean, they did lose that game to the Chiefs on the coin flip or whatever it was, right?
Exactly. Yeah. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost, the year before? Or is that the one you're talking about? The year before them losing to the Chiefs?
It was the year before, yeah, where it was the overtime playoff game. And,
scored like a ridiculous number of points with 15 seconds left in the game.
Yeah. And you got on the other side, like they did spend money and they spent it on Von Miller and he got hurt. So maybe it would have worked doing it the way they did it, but I don't know. It's very rare that you just have one good player and win. Like even the Rams with the amazing Cooper Kupp needed to go out and get other weapons, and they did, and they won.
Yeah. Josh Allen, great season. He passed. This is an individual game. Can't see that. The team passed for 4,129 yards. I think what was it? Justin Herbert had just over 5,000 a year before, and he led the league. So for Josh Allen, this might have been maybe a pullback on his years. I want to look at his career.
So with Josh, the thing with Josh Allen is that in terms of passing, he's never really set the league on fire. If you took just the passing, his passing numbers are virtually identical to Kirk Cousins on a yearly basis. Like
last 3 seasons, 4,000 yard seasons. 2020 was 4,544. Next season, 4,407, and then 4,283 this past season.
Yeah, the difference maker is that, and this is what makes him the number one pick in fantasy football in Superflex and the top quarterback off the board, is that he does all that in terms of passing. So, like we say, like it sounds bad, but Kirk Cousins is routinely in the top 10 in passing as well, right? Like he threw for last 3 years, he's thrown for 4,200, 4,200, 4,500, 35, 33, and 29 touchdowns. So Cousins is slinging the rock. But similar. But Cousins ran for 97 yards last year. And Josh Allen ran for 762 and 7 touchdowns. Right. So like it's crazy that you're basically getting like Aaron Jones's rushing production plus Kirk Cousins' passing production. That's a difference maker. So, but to say that Josh Allen is just like, he lights the world on fire passing, not necessarily the case. If he didn't run at all and just threw it every time, then he probably would. But just because part of the game involves him taking off and running 120 times or whatever it is, naturally you can't throw as much under that case. But it is wild that like if you took just his rushing fantasy points, he would be the RB1 for that team. He had more rushing Devin Singletary had 819 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had 762 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Right.
Just crazy, man. Josh
It
Allen,
is.
yeah, he's a beast. And they asked him. I saw they recently asked Dable about Josh Allen and running too much and getting to end. Somebody had a stat, one of the Buffalo guys, which amazing stat. I had never really seen anybody pull up a stat like this before, but it basically said that on over 60% of his runs, he's actually getting tackled. And by that, they mean most, like I think they had the stat probably for a few quarterbacks. Many quarterbacks, if you look at that number, like if you look at that number for Mac Jones, it's probably like 10%. If Mac Jones is ever running, he's running out of bounds or he's sliding. He's not lowering the shoulder and taking hits. But on Josh Allen, on over 60% of his runs, he's actually being tackled. He's lowering his shoulder, he's getting tackled from behind. So that's pretty dangerous, right? Like if I think what that reporter was hinting at, which is kind of hard to tell these guys what to do, but he was hinting at maybe this guy should slide. Maybe this guy should slide. Maybe you should go out of bounds. What do you think on that? From a competitive standpoint, I know obviously when the playoffs come around, you have to go John Elway, helicopter dive for the end zone, Black Hawk McCown. But if it's the regular season, probably should be sliding more, right?
Probably should. My logical brain tells me, yeah, like you should be exercising that part of your brain, the decision-making part that knows when is the right time to and when's not. Because you're right, it is a strategic decision that needs to be utilized at the right moment. Because I will say it is easier said than done. When I was playing sports, I didn't think about it, right? You're playing the game, you're trying, like the whole point of sports is to like build muscle memory so that your decision making is so quick that it looks magical or transcendent. And then in the play, when you're in a play, it's not always a very long conscious thought. So I do think that this is easier said than done. But yeah, he probably should slide more.
It is like that, especially on defense, especially when you're playing defense. I play like we have most kids growing up, you play offense and defense, and it's night and day playing. I feel like playing offense versus defense. Like you just described, like on defense, I would go full lizard brain. Like the snap would happen, and I'd look and ball. Yeah, I'd see if the lineman took like one step back, like they're pass blocking. I'm like, oh, you got to do the drop steps. You know what I mean? Like you just go into like automatic motion, and then you hear the ball calls or the fire calls. Like it is crazy. So you're right. It's hard for him, but he needs to learn because other guys don't seem to have too much of a problem with it.
He's avoided most like really bad injury, which is great. It's great to see. He seems to be good at that. We got Albert in the chat. Say good morning, everyone. And we got Michael in the chat. Say good morning. Good morning, my friends.
What's up, gang?
See you both. Yeah. Glad to see you both. And Dustin said the Bills have a 3-year window with Diggs and need to make a push now. Allen's health is the other big issue. So glad they bulked up the O-line. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. They do need to go now. I don't know what that Stephon Diggs next contract is going to look like for the Bills, but that's going to be a major contract, which goes into the whole point you were bringing up originally, Coop, about them bringing in other players. I'm sure they have to anticipate Diggs' next contract.
I think Damian Harris will go a long way in keeping Josh Allen healthy. Is that Devin Singletary is a good player, but he's like 5'7", just around 200 pounds. Like Damian Harris is 5'11", probably plays like 220. I know he initially when he came in the league was closer to 215, but at this point, these guys, if you're going to be a battering ram, then you probably bulk up a little bit. Like, the thing is, which it makes it tough for fantasy football is you weigh in at the combine and then they have no obligation to put that guy on a scale ever again and tell us like, well, I have no idea how much Austin Eckler weighs now, but I guarantee you it's not 195 pounds. That guy is yoked. So like we can only do our best guess, but Damian Harris, when they need that 1 yard, Josh Allen doesn't have to get it himself anymore. Damian Harris can help with that. So that should go a long way in his health. The other thing that surprised me when I was kind of looking over this Bills team is James Cook, statistically. Didn't play a whole lot, but on the snaps he did, numbers are pretty good. 5.7 yards a carry. That's up there with Rashad Penny and
I hate that. I
I
hate
know
that you say that.
J.K. Dobbins is an example of somebody we like better, but
Yes,
Tony
yes.
Pollard, right? And I know that when you're the third down back, you get a little more leeway. There's you get the carries. If it's like a 3rd and 15, they just hand you the draw play and then you punt. But you get like a 9-yard run on that play, which helps boost the stats. But 687 yards from scrimmage as a rookie that didn't play that much. James Cook kind of flashed, man. Do you think he could
Not bad.
pop for fantasy this year at all, or?
With Damian Harris there, probably not.
Yeah, it's too split.
Probably not. Flash, yeah. You know what? I changed my answer because of how you worded it. You asked me, do I think he can flash? And I think he can. Because I think he has that talent. Do I think that he can sustain this as the main running back on a team? Not currently what I've seen.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. And the thing is, to be honest with you, for fantasy football purposes, if this were, let's take Kirk Cousins.
Don't you dare
again.
say best ball.
We're using, now I'm not going to say best ball. If this were Kirk Cousins at quarterback and it were Damian Harris and James Cook, now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Brian Daboll runs the Erhardt Perkins system that he learned with like New England and Alabama and those guys. And well, he left that for like McDermott and those guys. I know Daboll's now left for the Giants, but like that's the system that's been set up there. I could see that if it was a non-mobile quarterback, that maybe if it was split between Damian Harris and James Cook, we'd be good. But the fact that it's Josh Allen is just enough to now I might not be interested in any of these guys. Are you taking Damian Harris anywhere?
I could be interested to take Damian Harris. I have not checked what his ADP has gone to since he's been put on the Bills.
I'll pull it right now. The beautiful thing about say what you will about best ball. I love it. Some people are like whatever on it, but the ADP for best ball at this time of year is actually a pretty good indicator of what we're going to see, just because people are paying to get in these leagues, especially at the very start of the draft. Obviously, at a certain points in these drafts, people just start taking like the fastest guys and touchdown dependent guys. But at the very top of the draft, the ADP, and I went back and looked last year, the ADP for underdog at the top of the draft, first 2-3 rounds, is no different than typical ADP. It's still the same guys: Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? It's the same. So
it won't be as accurate because the strategy changes. But the strategy is not so far away from normal redraft strategy that it really makes it unusable. It's still usable, but you have to factor in the fact that people are making different decisions because of that format.
Right. The strategy doesn't, but yeah. So it's like, I would say after the 3rd or 4th round, that's where the ADP differs. In the first, people aren't picking, like, I'm looking at ADP right now. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently people are still in. But stop me when you hear a name that you think is only there because it's best ball. Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler.
It's impossible to do.
Right? But no, it's at a certain point it does happen in these where you go through and you're like, why is that name there? Oh, it's best ball. But it doesn't happen until you get down
There are definitely those players, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't happen until you get down to, I would say, the 4th or 5th round. And then the two things you do see happening are you see it feels like speedy field stretcher guys start getting taken. And the other thing you see is the second quarterbacks and the second tight ends go way earlier because you have to draft multiple. So that screws up the ADP. But for the most part, we can look at it at the order the running backs are taken, and it's pretty good. Damian Harris, it looks like, is being taken way down here. He's being taken at pick 131.
See, and that's the other thing is it's tough to know, not just best ball, but ADP in general is a rough metric. You're never going to quite get something that's fully accurate because it just is so dependent on the source and how the source determines and cleans their data. And so it's all just an estimate, really. But you're going to have lagging indicators, especially in the offseason. So Damian Harris, it's tough to tell now. I think he'll probably go in these this middle to late rounds, maybe like 6 to 8 range, when it's all said and done, him being the top running back on the Buffalo Bills, I think will eventually boost up his fantasy value. Go as we get closer to the draft, people are going to start being like, "Oh, okay, he's the main guy on the Bills. He's done well before in the
Yeah.
Patriots," and they're going to start making these connections to where his value is going to rise.
I,
I'm in
I,
on him, given if we know the price and it's not too high.
right. Yeah. Well, just to get an idea, I'll throw a couple at you and see what you think.
Yeah.
And a couple of these guys a couple of them in here are tough. Like, I'm not going to ask you Alvin Kamara or Damian Harris right now, because there's no answers to that.
Yeah. Oof,
Right.
oof.
Yeah. And I guess Jamal Williams is kind of in the same boat, but I will ask you that one: Jamal Williams or Damian Harris? Yeah.
Give me Damian Harris.
Yeah, I think so too, because you can just count on him all year. And
Yeah,
let's
the
look at it
offense.
from a redraft standpoint, where you really do care most about the end of the season. That's what matters most. So the part of the season where Alvin Kamara comes back, that hurts you. How about this is an interesting one: AJ Dillon or Damian Harris?
AJ Dillon or Damian Harris? Give me Damian Harris. Give me the one
Yeah.
on his team. You've brought up Josh Allen rushing, and that's definitely going to hinder Damian Harris's upside. But AJ Dillon's got Aaron Jones, so
Yeah, and it's no longer we assume no longer an Aaron Rodgers led offense. Like, how many touchdown opportunities AJ Dillon going to have? That's the real
right.
question here. It's almost one of those things where it's like, if AJ Dillon's going to be good, then Jordan Love is going to be good. Brian Robinson for Washington or Damian Harris?
Damian Harris.
Yeah, it's like same guy but better situation. How about
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
right? How about Samaje Perine?
Damian Harris.
Yeah. So James Conner. It's almost
That's
the
where it
same
gets
situation,
interesting.
man. Yeah, it is tough. It is
I like
tough.
Damian Harris's talent over James Conner's talent. And James Conner has the luxury of maybe more raw opportunity
Yeah.
than Damian Harris, but is he going to be able to do as much with it? I think I'd still go Damian Harris here. I think I'd rather him be on that team. I think they're going to be in the red zone more.
I think so as well. How about David Montgomery?
Now we're talking.
Now we're
I think
into
I'm
it.
taking David Montgomery.
Yeah. Cam Akers?
I would take.
Yeah, I know. There's so
Oh.
many tough ones in here, dude. There's so many tough ones. And the ADP for these guys, like right now, Cam Akers is going a lot earlier than Damian Harris, and I'm not
Dude, he's
sure
going
if
so
he should.
high.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I still think, remember whenever the whole Cam Akers thing was going on in the season, I brought this up and I was like, I feel like they're going to try and boost Cam Akers up and then try and trade him because they tried to trade him before and they couldn't. And then their season was over and they were like, all right, let's give it all to Cam Akers because he doesn't want to be here. We want to we don't want him here. Let's boost him up and then try and trade him away.
Yeah.
You think that's going to happen?
Dude, I don't know now because it's like, yeah, I mean,
that's why I can't buy in, is because that theory is still in my head.
yeah,
and that's making me like stop from buying into this late season hype. What if it's a trick?
Teams, I feel like NFL teams, it's such a, like in Dynasty, you can be so much more pure about your intentions. Like if you and me are in a Dynasty league and your team is awesome and my team sucks, it's so easy for me to be like, hey, I'm not winning a damn thing. So
let's do this thing.
So let's do this. Yeah, like I'll give you my older good players and you give me your picks or your prospects and we'll do it. But in the NFL, they don't want you doing that. Like they don't want, especially the owners, they're trying to sell tickets, they're trying to sell jerseys, and the league discourages tanking, right? Like the NBA had to step in and create a lottery to stop it. They don't want you doing that. So it's kind of this gray area of like, you have to almost covertly do these bridge years. You have to draft Jamison Williams, who's going to miss the entire season. You know what I mean? Like, or you have to trade DeAndre Hopkins and put Kyler Murray on the pup list if you want to tank, right? So it would be so much easier if they could just be like, hey, we know we're not winning a damn thing. How about we trade you Cam Akers and we'll trade Cooper Kupp because he's 30 and we'll trade Tyler Higbee because he's racist.
Cooper Kupp
and
on the Bills because he's racist.
and we'll move on, and we'll just move into the next era, but you can't do that. So last one I'm going to ask you, because I think this one is a very similar type situation. Mobile quarterback, 2 running backs in the backfield, J.K. Dobbins or Damian Harris. I know. It's
Oh
Dobbins.
my
It's
God, it's
Dobbins, man.
Dobbins.
It's
Yeah, it
Dobbins.
is Dobbins.
Gus Edwards or David
Run
Harris.
off. Oh, but is it going to be a run first offense?
I don't know because I mean Todd Monken wants to throw. He said straight up, he's like, I'm throwing.
I think we got to throw a lot out from our priors with Baltimore. I think that they're going to have to shift their system a whole lot. If not, even if they have Lamar Jackson, because they no longer can build around Lamar Jackson.
This is the quote that I saw that people need to have in their head is he came out and said, my background is in quarterbacks, it's in wide receivers. I enjoy throwing the football. That's what Tom
There you
Monken
go.
said.
I enjoy hearing him enjoy throw the football.
Yes, I like throwing the football. I enjoy throwing the football. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
That's great.
We very much enjoy when you throw the football. So Michael in the chat said, I made it to round 3 of the playoffs in SFB Scott Fishbowl. I have you guys to thank. I wouldn't have made it, or I wouldn't have been in if it wasn't for the entry you guys gave me. I forgot to thank you guys again. Hashtag Kenny Pickle. Hashtag Desmond Radish.
Yeah, cheers, Michael.
It was all you, Michael. It was all you, brother.
Appreciate, it was all you getting that done, and I appreciate you representing, because those entries, man, like we care who wins. Like we get one to give away.
FYFers in the SFB.
And
Spot
dude,
y'all. Dame almost won.
That's crazy. Dame, that got deep. To go to round 3 in that tournament.
I get so hyped. I was out. I didn't even make it to the playoffs this year. I was all of my in SFB did not pay off. Allen Robinson, freaking Cam Akers, even Travis Etienne. I was out by the time the Travis Etienne and Cam Akers popped off.
Brutal, man. It is the toughest tournament. It is the toughest.
It is.
I go back and look at like when Gary Haddow won, his team was like his first half, the left side of his draft went perfectly. And his one trick was he didn't draft a tight end. He just loaded up on everything else. And then once he got a starting lineup, he drafted 4 tight ends in a row. And the third tight end he picked just happened to be Darren Waller in his breakout year. So it's like everything needs to go perfect for you. Like he picked tight ends like in ADP, he picked tight ends like 22 through 26, just bing, bang, boom, all in a row. And just so happened to hit on Darren Waller in his breakout year. Like crazy that what you has to go right for you to win a tournament of 3,000 of the best fantasy football players in the world.
Brutal. Yeah. I the year before I got to the playoffs, and that was only because I've really hit on, who was it? It was Deebo Samuel. I got a insane deal on Deebo Samuel. And there were a couple other players who I just happened to, it worked out. But even that was not enough. You're absolutely right. Things need to go your way with a tournament that size.
Right. You need to be hitting the big waiver ads. Like you got to get it all. So
Michael said I had started 4-10 too, made that comeback. Let's go.
Damn.
That's what I'm saying. People give up so early. I mean, I guess that's 14 weeks in. It's not crazy early, but that's kind of insane. 4-10 to come back.
Yeah, that's seems impossible.
That seems wild. Yeah. Wow, you must have had a crazy second half of the season.
Hal in the chat saying it's so hard. You do any super flex leagues? Good morning, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Hal. Welcome in. I
do some super flex. I don't have any redraft leagues that are super flex. I have Dynasty and I do a ton of the underdog best ball leagues. Yeah, it's so hard with a super flex because I wish there was something in between. Like super flex was supposed to be the in between one quarterback and 2 quarterback, but I wish there was somehow an in between on that because I feel like there's no like middle ground between quarterbacks being the top like 10 picks in the draft or quarterbacks being completely undervalued in 1 QB. There's got to be something. Right. I can't think of it, but it's out there.
Yeah. I do. You're right. It is either one or the other. Quarterbacks either aren't valued at all or they're very highly valued.
Right.
At first, I was not a big Superflex fan just because I don't love the quarterback aspect of the strategy behind this game. I don't think there's a ton of strategy there. I prefer the other positions, but that lack of strategy on the QB gets fixed by Superflex. So even though you're forced to then deal with it, there is a whole other dimension of the game, which I like.
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, that's why you got to play multiple leagues. That's the only way to do it. And be like, this is my super flex league, and this is my other league, and this is my. How many leagues do you think is the right number, JL?
It depends on the person. It definitely depends on the person. I have a hard time when it gets beyond like 8.
Yes.
Even 8
Yeah.
is a lot.
8's a lot. I think like best ball, you could have an unlimited number of them because there's no waiver moves and stuff during the year. I think for me personally, I have too many dynasty leagues. I need to see if I can do something about that because the problem is to truly have a good dynasty league, you need people that are involved in trading and all that. And if you're not paying attention, it's no fun.
It
So
is,
maybe 2 dynasty leagues and then 4 or 5 regular leagues is the healthy. Or honestly, for a normal person, it's probably like 1 dynasty league.
1 and 1 and 1.
Yeah, 1 super flex, 1 regular dynasty league, and then like 2 real leagues. Yeah. Hal, maybe I'll bring Hal on as co-owner. Let me know.
To adopt one, yeah.
I got some
like
spots,
that.
dude.
Any other points you want to talk about here on the Bill side, Coop?
I mean, that's the thing. That's so hard about this league is that we with like Von Miller going down, and the year before that, Trey White going down. We really haven't seen this defense at full strength. They lost Tremaine Edmonds. They brought back Matt Milano, so they're going to have a hole in the middle at linebacker. They got to fill, but I don't know. I just personally think that they're flying too close to the sun with these high end weapons. If you lose Josh Allen or you lose Stephon Diggs, the season's over. So personally, I think they should draft another wide receiver. Make it a rookie wide receiver that's not going to step on anybody's toes, but can contribute. But they got to do something. They got to load up, in my opinion. What about you, Joe? Anything else?
You think when like JSN or someone makes it back to the Bills?
The way the hype is going right now, I think somebody goes
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, if they could get Jack,
should not just use the acronym.
I mean, at this point in the year, everyone's so crazy with it that most people know who JSN is. But yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba, if he's there at, where do they pick, 26, 27, somewhere in there?
I think so, around there, yeah.
Yeah, if he's there, you can use an auto draft. But I think there's enough hype on him that people go up and get him. And I think there's a decent number of guys out there that are there's no clear cut number 2 guy, but they could take like a Quentin Johnston or somebody like that, Jordan Addison, maybe take a guy a little later on that Brandon Huffman came on the show singing the praises of, Josh Downs. So, it's not a top heavy class, but it's a deep class. I think they can get away with taking somebody in like the 2nd or 3rd round.
What about Sean McDermott? How do you feel about Sean McDermott as a coach? You think he deserves to be in the conversation as one of the best NFL coaches?
So right now, I can't put him on that pedestal because he hasn't gotten it done. So it's like I can't put him up in the tier with guys that have won Super Bowl. Definitely guys that have won 2. So like you can't put him up with like Bill Belichick or Mike Tomlin or Andy Reid. But I think he's in that next group.
What about Kyle Shanahan?
I think Shanahan's a great coach, but again, I put him probably in the same tier as Shanahan because Shanahan hasn't won either, or at least not as head coach. He got pretty close.
Has won, but probably could be argued as part of that clump.
Yeah, so that clump, I think that's the clump is probably the perfect word to use, right? Like there's this group of young-ish coaches that you're happy to have and are not on the hot seat, but they also haven't won, right? I would put Mike Vrabel in there as well as a guy like you like him, you want him around, but it's time to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's the next step. That's the next step. Same with Zach Taylor, probably in that group too. Of like you like having him around, but like they need to take it. They need to prove themselves, win the big one.
In the big one, do it, and then you'll be in the out of the clump in the conversations. Get
out of the clump and into the combo,
into the frying pan.
Yeah, I mean, but I think I'd say he's towards the top of the clump. I mean, like if you had to pick, it's so hard with coaches, but like if you had to pick, who would you rather your coach be, John McDermott or Dan Campbell? And don't just pick because one's more fun, which is what you're gonna do.
It's really hard not to do that.
I saw you doing it, dude.
I'm going with Dan Campbell. No, I'm going Dan Campbell.
Yeah, he is more fun. Would you pick
I can't pick the not fun one. I'm sorry.
Mike Vrabel or Sean McDermott?
McDermott.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Just because how much closer they've gotten. Although the Titans did beat the Bills in the playoffs one year.
They did. Yeah, I think McDermott. I think Campbell. I think Campbell's right there with McDermott. I think he needs to be that same conversation as McDermott. And he's in the clump.
Yeah. He's towards the nice part of the clump, though. Like if the clump is a bowl of mashed potatoes, like he's the part that has like the chunk of butter that hasn't melted yet, and
a little bit of garlic.
Yeah, a little bit of garlic. Whereas like, some of these other guys are more like, there's maybe some appeal that's still in there, or
Alan here said none of us here this early are quote normal. Very good point now. Yeah, here on March 27th,
talking
on Monday,
talking football
at 8:40 a.m. talking football and fantasy.
Let the record show we did talk baseball for a little bit earlier.
We did. Check
that off.
Baseballists.
We got to do a little hockey talk at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. And maybe a little NASCAR talk. I was doing a little NASCAR talk this weekend.
What are you talking about?
What was I talking about? I was talking to somebody who was telling me they went to a NASCAR match and they said it was too boring.
Well, that's the problem.
I think it was my nephew. Was it my nephew?
I like how you called it
circular. It's just like they're like, oh yeah, I really like NASCAR, but like I just can't watch them do a loop that much.
Did you just say NASCAR match? Like we're
NASCAR race? I don't know.
Race.
Is that absurd? Is it not also a match?
I'll tell you this. When you take the NASCAR event as a whole, it's awesome. But I'm talking, it starts Friday with like you like going and like getting a campsite and like grilling and throwing the Frisbee around. That's the part of NASCAR that I like. When I actually get to the race on Sunday, a lot of times what happens is I'm under the bleachers watching Red Zone on my phone. So I get that part of it. For sure. But it is a lot of fun to have the whole weekend experience, I will say. And it's also kind of cool if you do NASCAR, anybody out there that if you're thinking about it, rent one of those like radio things they have there where you can listen to put it over your ears. I mean, you got to plug your ears anyway because it's so loud. So you might as well rent one of those like radio headphone things where you can listen to the crew chiefs. It is pretty funny. Like you hear them like talking smack and like doing all this stuff and be like, oh, he almost put me in the wall there. I got to come by and get 4 new tires. Like it does get pretty entertaining at least. And I will can I do one last NASCAR thing before we move on?
I'll let you do one more NASCAR thing.
I've been seeing lately that, it's been popping up that guys like Kyle Busch and like Joey Logano and
what a NASCAR name.
Kyle Busch, dude. Oh my God. His nickname is Rowdy.
Of course it is.
Yeah. But and Denny Hamlin are like, these young kids, they don't know like the etiquette. Like they'll just come up to you and like call you out in the garage for like, racing too close and they're too aggressive. And it's like, I just love that Kyle Busch of all people has now transformed into the old man NASCAR driver. Kyle Busch that I saw almost murder.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. Like when he was young, he put Ron Hornaday Jr. into the wall during a restart and got pretty much banned for the entire season. But now he's the guy that comes out and says, these young whippersnappers. I mean, since I was a kid, that's like Dale Earnhardt Sr., rest in peace, would come out and say, this Jeff Gordon is racing too wild, right? It's like, no matter what the generation is, the older drivers are going to come out and criticize.
They always hate it.
The younger drivers are going to criticize no matter what. So,
yeah,
I get it, but also shut up, dude.
Take that. And Simon said, I've always wanted to go to a NASCAR game. Hey.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have the opportunity soon.
Yeah. Enjoy the Friday and Saturday of it. And then, grind your way through the Sunday. And Hal says, didn't Bush's dad race too? I think he did, but you might be thinking of his brother him and his brother.
Busch?
Yeah. So Kyle Busch and his brother, Kurt Busch, both race, but they're brothers. They're both from
Kyle and Kurt
from Las Vegas. Yeah.
Well, that has been our NASCAR talk. NASCAR talk. Coming up, we got some We Answer Reddit. We're going to answer Reddit's top questions. We got some Sell Me This Pen and some poll perception. Hopefully Simon rejoins us. But stay with us. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here in the Bettor Sports Network.
Sports.
Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, JL, and Coop.
Sell me on doing away with the 2 conference system in the NFL.
Is it really a sale whenever this is something that's commonly agreed upon? I'm selling you on water being wet. I'm selling you on something that is objectively true right here. We look at teams at the end of the season and we go, how the hell does one team have such an easy schedule while another team is just absolutely getting obliterated? And that's because of the 2-conference system, because the division system feeds into this conference system. It's a symptom of the greater problem. Like these divisional matchups, you're telling me it's fair that the Buccaneers are in the playoffs after playing the Panthers twice, the Falcons twice, and the Saints twice this year? That is unbelievable. There are multiple more deserving teams every single year that because of this system where we silo them into random groups, it determines the order. And yes, originally this was geography based, right? We have these divisions, they were geography. It's 2023, my dudes. Geography doesn't matter whenever it comes to the size of the United States. These teams can travel anywhere. They don't need to geographically locate them in divisions or conferences to make the games make more sense. If USC can be in the Big Ten, why the hell can't Miami play San Francisco every year? It can happen. They've got more money than these colleges and they're not taking classes. All it does is create an ecosystem where less talented teams can get rewarded for playing in weaker divisions and more talented teams are punished for continuing to improve.
Damn, bro.
Drop the mic.
I like to picture some geography teacher out there just threw a pen on the ground. He was like,
How dare you?
he smacked the globe. He was like, what do you
all
mean?
the hard work we've done.
2023 geography doesn't matter, right? Smacks his
You know
globe.
how long it took for us to get respect?
Globe goes spinning around, right? Geography doesn't matter. How dare
I'm
you?
just imagining they ripped on the world map and underneath is algebra 2. Like they just go straight into being a math teacher.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Paper straws. Oh, they're so bad, Ray. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say screw Mother Earth. Give me a real straw. The paper straw thing is a step too far in saving the planet for me.
It's a great idea. The problem is it has to last. Like, it can't go mushy halfway through my drink.
That's
And
the
I think
problem.
That's the problem. They have a hard time standing up if you don't drink that.
100%.
drink.
That's my issue, Ray. I'm all for taking care of the only planet we got. But, Ray, some people like to drive a lot. I don't. I don't get on them for they have to drive 20 minutes to work every day. Can I just get a plastic straw? Like, I think, Ray, we should be able to pay for a card that says, I don't drive every day, so they said I could have this kind of environmental impact by getting a plastic straw. I am in favor, Ray, of government-issued plastic straws if I have the proof that I'm worthy of such thing. If you want it, you get it. It's kind of like the Clear Pass. You know,
Yeah,
at the
there you go.
airport.
Okay.
Like, Ray, I'd be willing to pay an extra $2 a year, and I get as many plastic straws as I want when I go out to the restaurant.
And the $2 goes toward cleaning the oceans or something. So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. That's not a terrible idea. Not terrible.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Bettor Sports Network. It's Coop and I. Coop and the Hogs. How you doing, Coop?
No Simon, baby. That means we can
No
get into a little
Simon.
hockey talk on here. Even
Dude,
though neither of you guys like
hell nah.
hockey. Can we at least talk about what Dustin
we
Dustin
talked
said?
about all of the things that you want to talk. We talk about baseball. We talk about NASCAR. And yet here you are, Coop, asking for even
One more
You
sport.
greedy MF.
One more sport,
Mhm.
and then we can talk about XFL.
I draw the line at hockey.
Let me just say, you'll appreciate this one quick thing that happened.
I promise you I will not.
No, you will. Can I just say it?
I feel like you're going to, regardless of what I say. So just go for
I
it.
100% am, JL. I 100% am. Dustin in the chat says he wants to talk. Our chat wants to talk hockey. Dude. They want to talk puck.
No, Chad is not Dustin.
If Dustin,
How dare you?
Dustin wants
How
to
dare
talk.
you?
Hey, smash that fun button if you want to talk some puck. Hal. So look at Hal's in there. 27th time that Michigan's made the Frozen Four, dude. Did you see
House
that?
from Michigan. It doesn't count.
Dude, I saw the wrist shot by the guy, the game-winning wrist shot for that last Michigan game. Dude, seed. This thing was an absolute laser. And the guy had an amazing name. I
Said
forget.
seed.
Seed, yeah, the Chinese mustard seed. This thing was hot, boy. This thing was cooking.
Grew
Dude.
into a flower. Let me tell you.
Grew into a flower right in the back of the net, looking like a coal bin back there, boy. I tell you what. But
Them boys got pollinated.
them boys got pollinated. Now they're going to the Frozen Four, dude. They're going to get froze up. Hal, find the name of that player because it's excellent. But so Dustin mentions Pasternak scoring his 51st goal. That's cool and all. But the other day in the Bruins Canadiens game, where the Canadiens, they're our rivals, right? They've been for a long time, the Habs. And this guy with a very Canadian hockey name, maybe the most. His name is Rem Pitlick. That's his name. Rem Pitlick decides that after the puck is completely gone, to lower his shoulder and just crush Patrice Bergeron with a blindside hit. Completely illegal blindside hit, just absolutely obliterating him. And Brad Marchand runs over, grabs this dude. And usually when you fight in hockey, it's like, oh, you throw some punches. When somebody goes to the ground, it's over. No. Marchand dragged this dude onto the ground, and we just, on the ground and pound, punching this dude in the face. And the Habs goalie was just kind of standing there watching it because he knew it was a dirty hit, and they kind of just let them do that. But afterwards, they asked Marchand about it. And he basically said, here's the deal. He goes, you come after my brother or you come after Patrice Bergeron, you're getting beat up.
Don't mess with Patrice.
Don't mess with the captain, dude. But isn't that fun? Just guys beating up other guys on the ice, having each other's back. That's hockey talk.
It's hockey talk. Maybe the NFL needs a little more hockey talk.
Maybe the NFL does need a little more hockey talk, dude. But
we'll see.
We'll stop with obscure sports quarterly. Hockey's not even an obscure sport.
Score Sports Quarterly. Yeah, the magazine from Dodgeball.
ESPN 8, the Ocho.
that led to them finding the dodgeball tournament in the movie Dodgeball.
We even talked about
Great
March
magazine.
Madness today. We got a lot.
We did. We hit a lot.
Yeah.
But
what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Reddit and Reddit's questions, because Reddit's got a ton of questions for us, and we should answer them because that's what we are here for. So if they asked us to do, it's what we're here for. It's why Reddit gives us all these nice gifts throughout the week, and this is our one gift back, Coop.
We take good care of them. They left a lot of. I posted an article there the other day, and they left a lot of gifts on that article.
Did they?
Yeah, they
Don't
left.
really
a lot
strike me as the GIF crowd typically.
No, not like that. Like gifts, like nice presents.
Gifts,
they left a lot of nice comments. Like, for instance, no one needs to be told that Jalen Waddle is good, you moron. And I didn't read this. It's too long. It's like literally only 700 words, right? Like, yeah, just angels.
I didn't read this. Right? This is too long.
I've really, truly, like, you have time to go in and type that. You don't have time to just read the article, but you have time to go into the comment section of the article and say, I didn't read this. Thank you. Thank you for weighing in. I do truly appreciate you.
I love Reddit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Reddit, since they give you those nice gifts, Coop, we got to give them some nice gifts. Asks us, if you had one day to spend $1 billion, what would you buy?
Oh my God. I mean, one day. Now, the problem with that is that I would immediately want to buy things that would set me up for the rest of my life, but I don't think a day is long enough. Like, I wouldn't be able to close the deal on like a
house,
like a gas station ground lease, right? So,
I feel like this one's easy. You buy stocks, right? You have $1 billion. You buy as many stocks as you possibly can,
and then you cash them out the next day, and then
the very next day,
then you take your time. Exactly. Yeah.
You crash the market by just putting in $1 billion and then taking it out.
Just Bitcoin. Yeah. And then taking it out, right? And then you
assuming
have it.
You can't buy stocks, I guess we should preface this.
You can't buy anything that you could immediately liquidate the next day,
and then
take your time with. Yeah. I mean, geez, I'm trying to think what again because you can't just buy a
I'm
hockey
buying
team,
cars. Can't
right?
buy a hockey team, probably, yeah. So you got to do
Now,
things that are quick turnover. $1 billion is not the
you know
most
what?
money ever.
You know what I learned too is that with a lot of like the expensive and fancy cars, you can't just buy those either. Like you can't like for them with a lot of them, you can't just buy a Lamborghini. They treat the brand as like this like
They
prestigious thing.
protect it, yeah.
Yeah, like you need to have somebody like recommend you, or you need to like buy a lower tier one before they'll let you buy a brand new one. Like it does suck, man. Like dude, it's hard to spend $1 billion.
Dude, there was yesterday I was walking Rosie last night, and on the street near my house is just a broken down Lamborghini SUV, matte black. Looks brand new. Nobody in the car. Just hazards on, middle of the road.
There you go,
Everybody's
dude.
just driving around. It's a pretty busy road. We were just driving around like,
I can only imagine what the
okay,
story was that led to that, you know?
right? I'm guessing it's just their Lamborghini broke down. But took a picture and sent it to Simon. I was like, more like Lamborghini, am I right?
Yeah. Well, maybe
Nailed it.
maybe they had $1 billion and they had to spend it all in one day, so they rented a Lamborghini, but then the time ran up at the end of the day, so they had to get out. They didn't
Like
have enough
like
money.
a little ride.
Yeah. Simon says, "I'm renting out a Chili's." I mean,
The whole thing.
the whole thing. Dude, the first thing I'm doing, I'm going to Chipotle and I'm getting double guac.
And say, please don't even ask me. Don't insult me.
I'm getting
by
just the
telling
bowl.
me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're like, the guac costs extra. I'm like, yeah.
I'm like, I
Oh,
told you not to say anything.
oh, I know. Double it. I'm getting
Triple it. I don't care. See,
just
see
the
if I
bowl.
care.
That's how you really flex. That's the
Just
biggest flex.
You answer them by just throwing money at their face.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Thank you.
with $1 billion, I gotta spend it. I mean, I'm paying off mortgages. That's something that anyone can go in and do. Like I'm just logging into my buddy. Like you don't even have to log in. I can just call up the bank and be like, hey,
I have $1 billion now.
I'm putting it towards other
We
people's
cool?
mortgages. Yeah.
We good?
We good, dude?
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, as far as I think that'd be one of the first. Well, first thing is guac. Second thing, parents' mortgages, and then
all of the AMC theaters.
I'm renting out Chili's and AMC.
AMC and me and my buddies were having the night of our lives.
Yeah, that's a day.
Free popcorn. I'm just renting out the whole theater so that nobody can stop us. They're gonna be delivering popcorn to us.
I'm renting out a whole theater, and then we're playing Mario Kart on the big screen.
Yes.
That's what we're doing, baby.
Hooking up like the Switch or the PlayStation to it.
Yeah, again, Hal, the thing is, buy an abandoned town. Yeah, great. Buy an island, FYF island. All the boys are coming. But you can't close that deal fast enough, dude. By the time the negotiation stuff goes through,
It's gonna be tough to do that in a day.
I mean, you might be, if you walked in with $1 billion and were willing to overpay drastically and say, I'll pay
People
$1 billion, I'll pay $1 billion cash right now, but you need to sign over the deed right now, you might be able to get it.
Might be able to get that done, but you're overpaying for sure. And there are some areas you're still not gonna be able to get that done. There's gonna be laws or regulation in place to not let you do that. So
Not to mention, if I only have the $1 billion today and I buy an abandoned town, Hal, tomorrow I'm just going to have an abandoned town and not enough money.
yeah.
Enough money to fix
You're going into default immediately.
Right. Yeah. Like there's my town. There's a lot of
There's my
taxes.
town.
A lot of taxes I got to pay. I'm buying an
I can't
abandoned town
imagine
and
towns for free.
prepaying like 10 years worth of taxes.
In a day.
Yeah. It's
I
hard
feel
to
like we answered
fathom
that one pretty well.
how much $1 billion is. Right.
That's a lot.
So much money, dude. If you were to spend, I saw
Thousands
this.
millions.
If you were to spend like $1, it was like I think I saw, if you were to spend $1 a minute, right, you could spend like $10,000 by this time tomorrow, and it would take you 11 days to spend $1 million. It would
Did you
take
do
you
that in your head?
No, I've seen the numbers before, and these are probably not accurate. But it would take 11. It would take 11 days to spend $1 million. It would take you 32 years to spend $1 billion.
Damn.
That's how long.
Damn.
Yeah. So like, I mean,
how long it takes to get 1 billion seconds?
dude, $1 billion, like $1 billion doesn't. It's hard to comprehend how much it is until you realize that
1.71 years. It would is how many a billion seconds is.
So I had
31.71 years.
So I did have it right. And a million seconds is like 11 days, something like that, right? So that's crazy. But a billion makes more sense when you call it what it is. 1,000 million. 1,000 millions. Right?
1,000 millions, yeah.
You have 1,000 millions. That's like that even doesn't make sense either.
Naturally, a million seconds in years is 0.03171 years, right? Because you're just going down 2 factors here by 10,
Okay.
which is 11.57 days. Yeah.
Boom. Told you. Didn't make that up.
That's a lot. It's a lot. You'd have to spend a lot.
Yeah.
Dustin said, I'm buying FYF and Better Sports Network and adding more hockey talk to the show. Amount of money you can do, I'm sure, all of those things.
I would talk about hockey for the rest of the day today if you juiced it.
Pay me that.
You want to pay me? You want to pay me my portion of $1 billion? We'll talk about
talk hockey all you want.
Yeah,
Rest of my life.
I'll figure out how cricket works. Whatever.
Finally learn what cricket is.
Finally learn what cricket is, dude. Whatever you want, man. We'll talk highlight.
Simon said $1 billion in gift cards to assorted stores. That is very much the investment loophole here.
Yeah.
Same premise.
$1 billion in Amazon gift cards. That's just basically
nice.
buying everything forever.
Yeah. Everything forever.
Yeah.
Simon
Simon
said I'll hit the casino. I'll lose enough for sure.
Yeah. Simon, that puzzle showed up already, the one I bought during the show live the other day, and I was going to give it to Kate as a gift, and I even put just my name on it, but she opened it up immediately when it showed up, and she's like, "What's this?" I was like, "That's a present." I was like, "That's a present for you," and she's like, "For me?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like,
Did it have your name on it?
It just had just my name on it, so she opened it up anyway. Yeah, and I was like, probably because she was gonna be like, "Oh, your thing is here," right? But I was gonna give it to her anyway, but I missed the small 2 seconds of being able to say, "Here's a gift for you."
There you go.
Well,
it's still a gift.
Still a gift.
It's the gift that counts. That's what they always say.
Yeah, forget the thought.
Forget the thought. I feel like we answered that one pretty well, Coop. So let's get into our next question from Reddit.
Cool. I was hoping we could just stay on that one because I'm scared of change and what the future might bring.
Yeah, I've noticed that. High anxiety with this guy.
These questions the thing is, you guys pull these all up. I don't get to see them.
You can see them. They're right there.
Yeah, but that's
right there in the show sheet.
That's cheating, and it's also there's a show sheet.
What?
We're talking on the show sheet.
It's weird. It's not on there.
Huh.
What? Here's a question from Reddit. What's the worst thing you can receive in your mailbox?
In my mailbox. I mean, I think first we obviously have to hit the very ends of the spectrum. Poop.
Pretty unpleasant.
Poop sounds pretty unpleasant until you remember that like
unpacked
plutonium exists. Like you can like it could be filled with like
cyanide.
Like a bat with rabies. Right, like there's a
bat just flies out. Your day is just normal,
bro. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but dude, getting rabies is just about the worst possible thing there is. Is that
I don't know. I don't know what that's like in real life. All I have in my head is a cartoon version of that, and that humans have the same thing. Is rabies impossible to fix for humans?
So rabies, if you get bit by a bat with rabies, and you get a rabies shot within a certain amount of time, then you're okay, right?
My entire rabies knowledge comes from The Office, that one episode where Meredith gets bit by a bat.
Bro, this is supposed to be a fun segment, so I really don't think I'm not sure we should get into how truly horrifying rabies is. Put it this way, if you show signs of rabies, you're already dead. And that's just like 100%. They've only ever cured like 2, maybe 3 people that got rabies. And the way that you cure somebody with rabies is you put them into a coma. And the people that do get cured, let's just say that going into a coma is not good.
They've seen some things.
Yeah. So we'll leave it at if you show symptoms of rabies, you're already dead. And that's just the start of the bad part. So rabies bat is high on my list for things I would not want on my mailbox. Anything come to mind?
I think we can rule out. I think anything that is going to kill you or give you serious injury or illness,
I think that's fair.
can probably bucket it, similar to the investing in the last one.
Right, it's
Where
like-
we could list things that kill you all day here. And
Yeah,
they're
I
probably going
just-
to be pretty bad.
I immediately thought of another one where it's like somebody like hooks up like a grenade pin to the thing, so when you pull it, it pulls the pin of the grenade. Like,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, that would be
That's
pretty
really
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
That's gonna be also hard. How do you mail? How do you mail that?
yeah, you'd have to. You have to have a pretty cooperative mailman
Yeah,
to get
almost
that.
an accomplice, you might say.
Right. Yeah. So, like the Unabomber would have to be your mailman to get that one
Right.
pulled off. Okay. So, how about the worst thing that you can put in your mailbox that we could still come on the show and be like, dude, guess what was in my mailbox?
Yeah,
Like, it can't
yeah.
murder you.
I mean, bills are pretty bad. Most of the time, anything I receive in my mailbox is not fun as an adult, which sucks because it could be great. The mailbox could be a fantastic mechanism for just creating joy in people's life, but it's rarely used that way
No.
outside of birthdays.
Right. Yeah. It's especially with kids, like with bats, like,
Yeah,
Destroying
going
your-
around these freaking rabies bats.
yeah. No, I was gonna say bats, like I was gonna say bats, like when they knock your mailbox off of the bat.
Oh, yeah,
No,
that too.
yeah, these kids with the rabies bats, just putting rabies bats in your mailbox.
It's just gone.
I love how you immediately just go, yeah, that's true. As if that's not something we just made up like 2 minutes ago.
I immediately bought into your scenario. I was on the ride with you.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, freaking
Dude,
kids in the rabies bats.
Dustin with a great one in the chat. How about a bag of puzzle pieces? No picture, but it's missing a piece.
Oh my god!
That is
Oh
great.
my god! No picture and it's missing pieces.
That is great because they've essentially put a big waste of time. They've wasted
Yeah.
your time.
Why am I obligated to try and solve this puzzle that I've found in my mailbox?
Yeah, and then-
Why am I even doing this? Why don't I just throw this away?
This is kind of off the side, but have you seen because the porch pirates? You and I, of course, are very familiar with those after the porch pirate incident with your Casio. Have you seen the porch pirate devices, the glitter bomb devices that people make?
I have, yeah.
Yes.
I've seen the videos.
So good, where it's like they'll
People like they run from their car and they're like running up the front lawn, like and they grab the box and boom, right up in
Yes.
the face.
This one guy makes one that he does that's like an iPhone box, and he actually puts an iPhone in there with like the tracking thing on it with the video running. So people take them home and they'll be like in their car and they'll open it and it'll have a video of them as the glitter bomb just goes bah! Like,
Yes.
the most satisfying. And it's like harmless, you know what I mean? It's not like it's an actual bomb.
It's just now you got glitter all over your car.
Which is great. And also give me my phone back because they're like tracking it with the where's
Oh,
my
it's
phone.
an actual phone and they left in
It's
there?
an actual. They put an actual phone in there with the "Where's my phone," and then it takes a video of the glitter bomb, and then they just like knock on the door, and they're like, "Hey, you got my phone?" And then the guy's just like, every time they're just like,
It's
"Here you
covered in
go."
glitter.
Covered in glitter. He's like,
Yeah,
"Here you go."
here you go.
Yeah. There you go. Sorry about that.
You got me.
Yeah. yeah.
Good one.
I love that version of vigilante justice that is like borderline harmless, but it might stop people from doing that.
Karmic.
Right.
It's like karmic justice.
Because actual booby traps are illegal. Everything you learned in Home Alone is false. Like you can't actually set booby traps.
Stepping on a nail actually is dangerous.
It's bad. Getting it in the
Turns
face
out.
with an iron is if you rig up an iron to hit someone in the face in your house, that's gonna be a lawsuit.
No way he's getting like he gets like the full print in Home Alone. Like as if it had like sat there steaming his face. And
Yeah.
it just really hit him once.
Yeah.
No way they're getting the full
Very
the full
believable,
pattern.
very believable movie, but that part really took me
Yeah.
out. That part took me out of it. Yeah, it was up until that I was like, really?
Wait a minute. That iron was not on his face long
Yeah.
enough.
The wet bandits. Yeah.
Wet bandits. All right. I think we answered that one. Honestly, I'm not sure if we did,
We
but that's
certainly-
okay.
Yeah, we certainly threw out some answers.
Our next question from Reddit. What did you swear in your childhood you would never do, but ended up doing anyways? That is good.
That's a good one.
Swore that I would never do, but ended up doing anyways.
Swore that I would never do, but Ended up
Get a
being-
job.
Yeah, get a job is probably up there, dude. Like, I feel like there's little things, like definitely my relationships with like my sister and my parents. There were definitely points where I was like, I'm leaving and I'm never coming back.
That's
And
it.
now I'm just
That's
like,
it.
yeah, now it's like my sister's like one of my best friends, and like I love hanging out with my parents and all that stuff. Tim says it rhymes with rugs. That's probably a good one, dude. Hal says eat rare steak. Yeah, kiss a girl and kiss a boy. There you go. Like
Both, yeah.
2023,
I'm still
Um,
trying to figure out what rhymes with rugs. Bugs?
I don't know. It sounds
Hugs?
like maybe something that the bad boys are into.
Mugs?
Mugs. Yeah.
Lugs? Lug nuts.
Yeah, it's mugs. That's what it is, dude.
It's mugs.
Childhood me would be so pissed at me right now.
Same.
There's definitely a lot of food ones on that list where it's like, I tuna
Oh, yeah,
fish.
Brussels sprouts? Whew, no way.
Childhood
No,
jail would be
no, thank you.
Childhood jail would be smacking that fork out of your mouth.
Oh, all the way out of your mouth.
Brussels sprouts are awesome.
I like them now, but they smell like feet.
Mm,
We can
Yeah.
acknowledge that.
oh yeah, that's fair. So same with broccoli at times. Smells
Broccoli sometimes just
bad.
decides, hey, I'm gonna be a real stinky boy.
That'd be a nasty boy. That's nasty work.
That's
That's
some
shout,
nasty
shout out LQ. The
work.
I read somewhere that that through over the years, selective breeding of different strains of these vegetables, for the most part, has made them much sweeter now than they used to be, like carrots and broccoli and stuff. And that's a big part of why, like, the running joke of like broccoli is gross is because the broccoli we eat now is from what I've read, nothing like the broccoli that people used to eat. Like it probably used to
Like
taste
ass broccoli before.
right. Like yeah, it just probably tasted like leaves, but now it's like sweet.
That's alarming if that's true.
Yeah,
That this is the farthest science has taken us to just get broccoli to this point to where it's pretty good most of the time.
I read it on Reddit, so it has to be true.
It has to be true. You brought up I saw a sweet green yesterday because Maria and I and her family went to Georgetown in DC, and there's a big sweet green down there. I think sweet green started down there. If I'm not mistaken, you're a big sweet green guy, aren't you, Coop?
I wouldn't say big as much as I would say
You are a sweet green guy.
My
You
wife-
mentioned it a few times.
I'll put it this way: my wife is a big sweet green person, which
Okay.
by association
Now you
means
are a big.
now
sweet
I am
green.
big sweet green. But I will say I do like it. I like
Seasoned.
I have an order.
Chopped
I
is
have
better.
I have an order. Yeah, chopped is okay. It's not the best, but I have an order that I like. Let's put it that way.
The reason I brought this up and the reason why I thought of sweet green when we would start talking broccoli is they do this weird thing there where if you get the broccoli, their little like spicy broccoli side, they only chop in the butts of the broccoli. And I can't figure it out. Like, what's the motivation here? What's happening behind the scenes? Because I don't know. I wouldn't have ever thought to just have a broccoli butt bin. Like, just put the butts of broccoli on my food.
If anything, you would think it'd be the other way around.
Right. Where you cut the butts off.
Now,
Buttless broccoli.
What do they do with the top part?
Right? Where's the tops?
Do they grind it into that like sprinkle? Because I know that they sometimes have that.
They have broccoli sprinkle?
I've seen it.
I've seen it.
I've
Maybe.
heard.
That honestly, that could be where the broccoli tops are going. I don't know, but it is alarming.
That is crazy because that is the part that is the worst part.
It's the worst part. I can't figure it out what the motivation is. You have to do work to get to that.
Hal says it's the healthiest part. Like, okay, I'm already eating a salad, Hal. Will you cut me a break, dude?
Yeah,
like,
I ordered 3 quantities of Parmesan crisps. You telling me I'm worried about health
right,
of my broccoli tops? No,
that's the
thank
thing. The fact that you even got me into a sweet green, like I'm already playing with house money here.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's healthy. And nothing's off limits. I'm good.
Nick DiDuccio in the chat says, I couldn't stand meatloaf as a kid. Now I crave it. Just the word crave. Word crave.
How I
doesn't mean
crave.
that. Yeah.
God, I need some meatloaf right now.
Yeah, I have I need it.
I need
A
meatloaf.
hankering. He says also weed. Yeah, I guess that would go hand in hand.
That would
The-
also, yeah,
the
factor in here.
a little weed, and then you get a bit of a meatloaf craving.
I crave meatloaf.
Yeah, meatloaf is
Alcohol, I guess in general.
amazing. Meatloaf.
Although I don't know, I had that thought as a kid.
Meatloaf is such a classic homemade thing, and I think it needs to be popularized more as a menu item that you buy.
Do you?
There's one place in yeah, this is a rant. Yeah, let me go on a rant that we can clip about meatloaf. No, there's a place in Boston called Deluxe that's like this little diner. You guys would love it because it's just like a little hole in the wall
It's
that
got
just,
like 15 different domains of food.
yes, and it's all just awesome, crazy, probably stolen homemade dishes where everything there is good. But like when you go in this place, you wouldn't picture it to have like the best food in the city because it's such a it's set up specifically like a diner, which is
Yeah.
like all the junk on the walls and
Oh yeah.
you sit at one of like
Silver, lots of chrome.
you sit at like
Everything's
the
shiny.
shiny, yeah. They have an old timey cash register, and
The
you sit at
jukebox.
the swivel chairs you
Yeah.
sit on. So
And their pastry counter is just dank. Just like lit up.
feel like, are you sure you've never been? You're pretty much
We got the exact type of thing here. I mean, Silver Diner definitely is like I think prototypical one of those. Here in Baltimore, we got Double T, it's called. And it's that style of diner where they just got like, you can get pasta, you can get pancakes, you can get Greek food, you can get anything. But it's pretty good and it's open late.
yeah, those are the best places, man. Yeah, hit up Google DELUX Deluxe and hit the
Deluxe.
image button. Like you wouldn't. It's so surprising. Well, the first time I walked, my buddy brought me in there. I was like, this place gonna suck. But
Simon said, hopefully if nobody with their kids are watching right now. If so, turn us down for like 15 seconds. But Simon said, when I learned where babies came from, I told my parents that I was never having sex and I'd only adopt.
wow.
Simon's like, just adopting from here on out. No, thank you. Not interested in that one.
Also, still never had sex, but not for lack of effort.
Now he just also doesn't not gonna adopt.
Smoked. Get
Smoked.
smoked.
Get wrecked. Come on here and defend yourself, Simon. Do it, coward.
Hal says, Coop, you got to hit up Dinners. I don't know what Dinners is. Like, is that a restaurant? Dinners, restaurant.
Dinners. Simon said, maybe don't read that one aloud in case kids are listening. Hey, I prefaced it.
We already read it.
He said we don't need to force the talk for Scott Fish and Joey this morning. That's why I prefaced it.
Yeah, this is the way to learn.
This is how we learn.
You learn a lot on this show.
We do.
It's important stuff.
We do.
Did we? I forget what question we were even answering, but I think we got it.
What did you swear in your childhood you would never do but ended up doing anyways?
Yeah, we answered that.
We answered that one. We nailed that. You want to do another one?
Yeah, let's do one more.
All right. Coop, tell me. What is something that you've been looking for a long time but haven't found?
No, we have done this one.
Oh, we have? Okay.
Last time I talked about Puzzle Pirates, that game that I've been looking for, like a similar game. But yeah, so we did.
All right, so we've done that one. I think we've also done What's a Smell That You Hate That Everyone Else Loves. Whoops.
Did we do that one?
I think so. So I talked about gasoline. I think you talked about gasoline too.
Yeah. Gasoline. That's a classic.
All right, we got one here. All right, Coop. What famous person didn't deserve all the hate that they got?
Wow, there's a bunch of really good answers to this one. Some of them probably a little too political though, for where I wanted to go. Like,
That's fair.
I'll say one real quick. The Dixie Chicks got absolutely canceled for saying that they weren't in favor of the war in Iraq. Not sure if they were right or wrong or that, but they got canceled, right? And then there was the woman that ripped up the picture of the Pope.
They're just the chicks now, aren't they?
I think they are now, yeah. But the person that ripped up the picture of the Pope, Sinead O'Connor, whatever it is, she got canceled for that. Turns out that she might have been right about some of the stuff that was going on there. But I'm going to go with something a little less controversial, or maybe more controversial. But I'm going with an entire band here, and that's Nickelback.
Nickelback. They didn't deserve it.
Nickelback, okay. Nickelback jokes are funny. I enjoy a good joke making fun of Nickelback, but I enjoy it from the sense of they're a good band to hate on. At the same time, though, they got some bangers, dude. I think you're lying to yourself if you don't think Chad Kroger's got some hits, and I include the song from Spider-Man as a Nickelback song because it's Chad Kroeger. You know that one that's like, they say that a hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand here and
I
wait.
don't know that one.
No, that's a bad.
No.
Oh, dude. Now maybe that's why people hate on Nickelback. They've never really gone through
I never
and been
listened.
like,
Yeah.
okay, like let's make a list of the best Nickelback songs. Right? Like there are some awesome. How You Remind Me, awesome. Far Away. Now that you're here, so far away. Is that even Nickelback? I think it is.
I
But
have
like,
no idea.
yeah, dude, Rockstar. That's kind of cheesy. That's an easy one. That's an easy one to make fun of. But like, Photograph also easy to make fun of. Okay, no, I get now that I'm going through. I can
So
see
now I
why.
get it.
I can see why. But at the same time, dude, like these guys are millionaires and they have a number of catchy songs. So hate all you want. Hate all you want. They got some jams, dude. They got some jams.
They're at least 100,000-aires. That's for sure.
For sure, dude. For sure.
That's for sure. Simon said Nicolas Cage. That one seems pretty fair.
Nicholas,
I feel like he's turning it around though because he's leaning into it. It's like it's kind of turning around.
I love that Nick Danuccio in the chat says "Sing It, Coop," as if I wasn't going to sing every song that I mentioned. We all just
Can we
want
get
to
an
be
FYF
big
album,
rock
please.
stars. Yeah, let's do it.
We have talked about that more than once this season. I think the Jason Travis Kelce thing definitely spawned some suggestions that we need an FYF album.
Yeah, we really should with music videos, dude.
Imagine if Tim.
Look at
Tim
this
directs everyone.
photograph. Should we just do a cover Nickelback album?
Nickelback cover band. I like it. I'm gonna go with my one. I'm gonna go with Kim Kardashian.
Ooh.
I think she gets way too much hate for being dumber than she is. I don't think you can really do what she's done without being really smart. And I think she's playing a character more than most people realize.
Yeah, she's clearly a very smart businesswoman. There's no doubt about that. I mean, she turns every little thing she does into like a multi-million-dollar business.
And it's sustained, which is the other part of this. Like, how often do we see celebrities or just individuals get lucky riding some sort of trend or wave, right? They just get all the things and it works out for them. Who's the one I was reading about the other day? Gangnam Style, that guy.
Yeah.
It's been chasing success ever since.
Right.
since that moment, that Gangnam Style moment. But it's hard to do. And then even on top of that, even less people do it on like a sustained basis, like she's been doing it, right? She has stayed relevant, stayed successful, and grown her wealth, which is crazy difficult. So
right. She survived being married to Kanye West, which is, I imagine, one of the most difficult things you could do.
Also tough, yeah.
Also difficult, right? So I don't know. Tim Wright says, pretty sure she's still not a good person, though. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know her personally.
Are we all good people, though?
Yeah. I know that there were a number of things that she's done that I looked at it and I was like, are we hating what she did or are we just hating on her? Like, I remember at one point she went on like a Caribbean trip and got these like braids and people were like, oh, it's cultural appropriation. And maybe it is, but at the same time, it's like, she's not the only person that goes to the Caribbean and gets like braids done. Like that's
every single person in my elementary school did that.
Like that, that was the only way that you could prove
not saying that's right or wrong. I don't know anything about the controversy.
Exactly.
Here,
like we're not the ones to talk on that. I just think that when I see that, I'm like, it's because she's Kim Kardashian that it's so amplified here.
Yeah.
So
any other celebrities come to mind?
I mean,
just those two.
There's a lot. I will say, like Guy Fieri. Why we gotta always rag on Guy Fieri, dude? He seems like the man.
Kind of asking for it.
Seems like I know.
Frosted tips
and the bowling shirts. How many bowling shirts with flames can one man have? Like,
can you? I feel like you can only exclusively buy those shirts at big gas stations.
Yeah,
like Buc-ee's style gas stations.
And
Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, they come like tucked inside of like a travel mug. Like you get them as a package. But I mean, like he seems like such a good dude. He knows what he's talking about. He's got all these great shows, and like every story I've heard about him on a personal level, he always seems like he loves engaging with fans and doing this and that. So I don't know if we need to. I don't know if we just need to make him a joke all the time, even though we are making fun of him right now.
No, we choose to. We definitely don't have to. We choose to do that.
Yeah, we definitely choose to.
Simon said her interview with David Letterman is great. Yeah, all those. I fully agree. If you haven't, check out. I think it's called "My Guest Needs No Introduction." They're David Letterman's like interview series on Netflix. It's definitely very good. Highly recommend. And we got some good stuff coming up on this show. We just answered Reddit's questions, but Coop and I are gonna be selling some pens. Who knows? Maybe we'll be doing some poll perception. We will see. Stay with us as we go to this break. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Bettor Sports Network.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Bettor Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft, oh well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2-3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. I'm JL, joined by Coop, as always. Coop, how you doing this morning?
Good, and I was absolutely ready to come back from break there, 100%.
100%. You knew that it was coming, and you were ready.
Coming, did not hear the music from my headphones that were not on my head, but we're here. We're here now. Unfortunately, Simon is not here with us today. JL, where did he say he was going again? He ran off in a rush, and
yeah, he had to get back to the library to return his books in time because he is a serial library keeper outer. So he's returning some books and he wanted to pick up some new ones.
Yeah, he a couple weeks ago he had an unpopular opinion about reading books in that you don't need to finish one before you start the next if you don't feel like it. And unfortunately, that kind of snowballed on him to the point where now
Got real out of hand.
he's currently reading over 800 books at the same time, which,
Yeah.
you know, it would be fine, honestly. Like you said, there's nothing stopping you from doing that except for the library, which I know the
He's very upset.
librarians in San Antonio have a history of violence.
They do. Yeah. Yeah. You definitely don't want to have an overdue book in San Antonio, but let's hope Simon gets back in time. In the meantime, you want to talk some ADP, Coop? Some best ball ADP?
Yeah, it's that time of year where I think, you know, whether you play on FFPC or MFL or Underdog, like now is such a good time to go in and do a couple best ball drafts, especially if you're going to be on Twitter, be on Reddit, be on here talking ball. It's good to get an idea of where these guys are going so that we can all put it in perspective. Honestly, at the end of the day, ADP ends up being everything. And I was just thinking about that this week where it's like, I'll post an article on Reddit and people will say, oh, well, it all boils down to where the ADP is. And I thought to myself, well, what do we have for ADP right now? There's no real redraft leagues. There's dynasty, but most dynasty leagues are waiting until after the draft to do their draft. Where we do get real ADP is Underdog. So we talked about it earlier. And we should probably pop in and just see what that's looking like, what we agree with, what we disagree with. So you want to pop in and take a look at, let's say, quarterbacks to start?
Yeah, let's go for it. There are a few sources too. I think you mentioned FFPC is another solid one because they're people putting real money down. Is essentially the point Coop is making here.
Yeah, we should probably use FFPC. If we wanted, do you want to look at the Players Championship for FFPC?
Yeah, we could do that. So I'm going to put a link in the chat for you to follow along FFPC. If you're unfamiliar, FFPC is a high stakes league platform, and so all the players playing on here are for decent amount of money, decent amount of buy-in.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I'll put in the link in the chat. You can follow along and look at this ADP that we're looking at here. We're looking at best ball, right, Coop?
Yeah, the FFPC Best Ball Players Championship leagues. That way we can look at the high stake leagues and see what's really going down.
So yeah, top 5 here are all pretty chalk. Although towards the end, a little interesting. We got Justin Jefferson, followed by CMC, followed by Jamar Chase, then Travis Kelce and Austin Eckler is the top 5 here. Eckler kind of stands out to me as maybe being a reach here, Coop. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, the thing is, last year he was the PPR RB1, so I think people are chasing that. But I'm with you. I'm a little bit scared that, you know, first you have the contract talk, which that always gets a little dicey if people aren't happy. We want our guys to be the best players and happy being those players. He just basically came out and said, hey, I like it here, but I am a disproportionately large portion of this offense and I should be paid as well, which I don't think is I mean, when he said it, I actually listened to the podcast. I was like, almost impossible to argue with that, right? The guy's going to have 200 carries and 100 receptions. He just wants to be paid. Pretty good. So the flip side is that it's a new offensive coordinator. Joe Lombardi is out. He went to go join Sean Payton in Denver. And last year, they essentially against the Jaguars had that game won and just could not run the ball when they needed to most at the end to get it locked down. So I could see this team going out and taking a bruiser back in this draft. There's a guy that would be a perfect complement to Austin Eckler in Dwayne McBride. I know, JL, you haven't dug in too deep just yet because I know the draft is still a month away. But do you know anything about this guy, Dwayne McBride?
Yeah, I've been looking into him a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
What stands out about him to you?
He is like the quintessential version of like Alfred Morris, where he can clearly, or like Jordan Howard's another good example, where you put the ball in this guy's hands and he is a bulldozer. Like he had like 19 touchdowns in his last year in college ball, but he, just like Alfred Morris and Jordan Howard, does not catch the football. Over 3 years, do you have the stats up there, JL?
I do.
How many receptions did he have in 3 years of college football?
In 3 years, he had a total of 5 receptions.
Five
Yeah.
receptions. How many
2020 0, 2021 3, and then 2022 2.
how many yards rushing did he have in his senior year?
Rushing or receiving?
Rushing.
His senior year, his rushing was 1,713 yards.
He ran for 1,713 yards and got
233 attempts. That's Derrick Henry numbers.
230 attempts at rushing, got 2 passes. That's that guy. So, but if you have Austin Eckler catching passes, who cares? I think Dwayne McBride would be a perfect complement to what Eckler does. And just the fact that that might happen has me a little scared. Like the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, they're not drafting a running back, right? Saquon Barkley and Matt Breida, I would almost rather at this stage take Saquon Barkley. Now, if we get through the draft and the Chargers don't add anybody, now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Austin Eckler, we're back in. But in this stage, at this stage of the game, we have to think about what teams might do in the draft, right? That's why I love taking Jamar Chase so much. Like we know that the Bengals aren't going to draft another wide receiver. Or I mean, maybe they will, but he's not going to start over T. Higgins, right? He's not going to he's not going to push Tyler Boyd off the field and collect 120 targets, right? So we can be very confident in Chase. So of these,
I think the point you're bringing up, which is that like the strategy here of looking at which players are going to really be affected by the draft and seeing how that lines up with ADP is a smart one when it comes to best ball, because I think a lot of best ball runs. I mean, it runs all year round, but the off season is best ball time.
Yeah.
And the off season is like you could split it up into those when those events happen, right? These events that cause big shifts in value across the board. And so it's a good strategy to bring up.
Yeah. So, and it's like, if you're drafting now, which is what we're talking about, then you do that. Then after the draft, we make adjustments, but you got to keep an eye out for that type of thing.
A name that stood out that you didn't mention though, with Austin Eckler here is Jonathan Taylor.
I know. And I think a big part of that
Surprising.
is the question at quarterback, right? Like last year we looked at it and we said, or even 2 years in a row now, we've sat here, and whether we were right or wrong, we were wrong. We sat here and said, Carson Wentz is good enough. Matt Ryan's good enough. They have Quentin Nelson. They have Ryan Kelly at center. We'll be fine. Right now, we don't necessarily there's no Matt Ryan to make us feel warm and fuzzy about the floor of this situation. So I think that's what's hurting Jonathan Taylor, right? Like these guys all kind of have some sort of, in the second half here, like Cooper Kupp, we don't know. I heard earlier when I said Cooper Kupp, you were like, Cooper Kupp, what?
Dude, I just wrote down because I was going to bring him up next. I brought up Cooper Kupp. I actually spelled it, switching the C and the K, and I can't stop laughing now looking at it. Cooper Kupp. It just looks so silly.
Yeah.
That seems like a bad bet here. So Cooper Kupp right behind Jonathan Taylor. He's the fourth wide receiver on this board here against Tyreek Hill. Cooper Kupp was kind of a bad bet going into the last season, because when you think about this from just the terms of like the decision, right, or the bet, like if we're just going to break this down according to probability, what is the probability that Cooper Kupp returns on this value?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Again, what's happening here is pretty obvious. The year before last, he had the greatest fantasy wide receiver season of all time. Right. So people are just saying that's what this guy is. But if Matt Stafford's not healthy, right? But if Matt Stafford's not healthy and the offense isn't running, and now he's 30 years old, I'm with you, JL.
That's just a lot of risk.
I'm just gonna let somebody else do it. You can't. There are a lot of like sayings that float around in fantasy football, but this one I truly believe to be true, which is that you can't win your league in the first round, but you can lose it.
Yes. And what the crux of that saying to me is that of course you can't win it in your first round because you can't get any value in the first round, really. Like there's a limit to the value you can get in the first round, right? Because you're paying for it. You can't get a deal on something that you're paying full price for. It's just not, it's less likely. And so the upside is not there, but the downside of a player, you paying a lot and that player not anywhere close.
Yeah. In the early rounds, my philosophy on drafts is in the early rounds, I asked myself, why am I drafting this player? Why am I drafting Justin Jefferson? Well, he's, high ADOT, number one target on this team, serviceable quarterback, offense runs through him. The answers are all there. Later in the draft, I ask why not, because we're already at the point where you're looking at situations where it's up in the air. Like Evan Ingram last year, I was like, okay, why not? Why can't Evan Ingram, since Christian Kirk's new to the team and Zay Jones is new to the team and it's a new coach, why can't Evan Ingram be that guy? So in these early rounds, if I ask why and there are too many red flags, I'm just going to go away from him.
There's just as much upside around him and the players around him, right? Like you're not really getting that much more upside from Cooper Kupp than Stephon Diggs
or CeeDee Lamb or AJ Brown.
Or CeeDee Lamb or AJ Brown. I get it. None of them have ever done what Cooper Kupp did that one season. Cooper Kupp's also not going to do that again. Right. Everything had to work out. He had a lot of things working in his favor. Those things aren't going to be working in his favor this year. So it's just going to be harder. It's less likely he's going to do it. So that one definitely stands out to me as a potential whiff or just a big, like you said, big red flag here in that first round ADP Coop.
Yeah, and conditions have changed too for Cooper Kupp. Whereas like CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown, same quarterback, they're the top dogs on the team still. I mean, the Eagles, what more can they really do? We know what it is. It's AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. We like that.
Yeah, that's safe.
Carry on.
There's safety there.
Yeah. So let's round. So
even Devontae Adams, I'd probably take over Cooper Kupp at this point.
So I don't think we actually read it off. So the next set is Saquon Barkley, Stephon Diggs, Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams. I think that rounds out the top 12.
It's around there, yeah. Yeah, so that all seems pretty chalk to me.
Top
Bijan
15.
Robinson climbing up into that top above Kenneth Walker. That might be a little bit of pre-draft hype we're seeing here. That is also getting a bit risky for me, considering it's similar to Cooper Kupp situation where there's just a lot of question marks still to be unraveled here.
Yeah, we don't know where he's going to go, but I will say this. Like, I am the guy that always pours cold water on the rookies, and I usually don't go in on these guys, but in this particular case, I'm having a hard time figuring out why, like, how it goes wrong for Bijan. And same thing with, like, Saquon Barkley. When he came out, it was like, this guy is a good dude. He's an amazing player. All the numbers are there. When I do my fantasy, my dynasty stuff, I look at college production, which is stats plus film. Then I look at workout metrics, which is the combine, pro days. Then I look at draft capital, which we don't have that yet. But as far as everything else goes, man, the film is amazing. The production was amazing, both in the pass game and the run game. He went to the combine, didn't have to do any of the drills because he was the number one guy and everyone knew it. And even everyone was like, hey, you don't have to do these if you don't want to. And he said, I'm going to do them all because I'm a competitor. And he was the best at like all of them. Like, he went out and was like, hey, I'm the best. Check it out. And he looked amazing doing all the drills. So I just personally, I'm willing to make an exception to my like fade the uncertainty rules with a guy like this. Whoever takes this guy, he's going to be a focal point of the offense. I think he's going to be really good. So
I'm with you on just the general overall hype of him as a prospect. I love every year, almost like predictably, we can find value on these rookie running backs who end up creeping into those, I'd say like 4th to 2nd round ADP.
Yeah.
Usually after the draft, they'll settle around there, and there's usually a ton of value because they end up being the first round picks the following year. If they pop off, like the Breece Hall, the Travis Etienne's, these type of players who are Kenneth Walkers. This is a little rich for me for Bijan Robinson, even so, because I think what we're hoping for is a season like we saw from Kenneth Walker last year. And so I'd rather take a guy like that who we know where the landing spot is versus Bijan Robinson, even if I believe he's super talented, just because we don't know where the landing spot is.
And I'm on board with that. And it just so happens, JL, that lucky you, there's almost the perfect name of the person you just described. Like, you just like looking at this ADP, Bijan Robinson's going at pick 10.83 on average. That means you got to take him in the first round because that at least tells us that in a 12-team league, he's not going to make it back around the swing.
Probably not going to 2nd round, yeah.
You can't count on it, right? But you look at the guy that pretty much everybody has as their second best running back prospect, a guy that's been comped to Alvin Kamara and Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's going at pick 46. So that is right.
Yeah.
What'd you just say? You just said third or fourth round, or like
Yep.
fourth? That's
Fourth to,
literally
like second to fourth round is usually where they land. If they're in the second round, it's much less value to be at,
So-
right?
pick 46 is right there at the end of the fourth round.
Right.
And why can't he be the top running back, depending on how it shake out? So
Yeah.
if you want to do your strategy, that guy at pick 46 is probably going to be somebody that you would rather
You can
pick
get a bunch
than-
of value
yeah.
on. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel you on that. I think I'm with you that I'd rather do that. I would at least I actually did just do a best ball draft where I took Kenneth Walker over Bijan Robinson and Brees Hall. I took him at the swing on the way back. So I
Okay.
feel that, so moving on, like any of these other guys, I mean, they seem pretty chalk, like CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, you know what you're getting. Devontae Adams, are you willing to take Devontae Adams in that group, even with Jimmy G?
In that grouping, in this top 15 or so group of names, I'm definitely willing to take him. I'm a little higher on Jimmy Garoppolo than I think Simon and you are. Maybe more than Simon. I don't remember exactly where you fall on Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's in the
You're in the middle, right?
He's in the quarterback clump. If we're talking
Yeah, the
clumps,
clump.
if we're doing a lot of clump talk today on the show, he's in that quarterback clump for me, where I'm just
Is
like,
he average or above average or below
Derek Carr.
average?
I think he's
Garoppolo.
I think he's above. I think he's average or average to
Average.
above average. Where I think he's a
Slightly above.
starting quarterback in the NFL,
Okay.
which means he's one of the 20 best quarterbacks in the world. But to us and what we do, the 20th quarterback in the world sucks. So
Yeah.
it's like
I think he's fine. I think he's good enough. I think he's probably similar talent, if not maybe slightly more or less than Kirk Cousins. Honestly, I think Kirk Cousins is a good spot for him in terms of talent wise.
he's in that group where I have a hard time sitting here and prioritizing one of them because none of them excite me. Like if the board, when I get to the part of the draft where the board just says Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy
Marcus
G,
Mariota,
yeah, right. Like I just look at
Carson
it and
Wentz.
I'm like, I'll just take whoever's left, and then I wait too
I'll
long.
take Big Ben in the 20th.
Yeah, I personally would put Kirk ahead of those guys, but it's just like almost not far enough ahead that I feel the need to say, oh, I got to get Kirk out of this crew
Over them. Yeah.
I'd rather just say, hey, whatever's left, I'll take it. If I miss all of them, I don't care.
Yeah. Tim says they're stack QBs.
Stack, yeah. If I've already taken Devontae Adams, then my little simpleton brain will
Like,
say,
let me
we'll look at that group and say, oh, we might as well take Jimmy G and ruin our entire season by putting all our eggs in that basket. But
But Devontae Adams is one of the best wide receiving talents in the NFL. So I'm still in on him. I think Jimmy Garoppolo will be fine in that Raiders offense. And
it's the same play caller. And what did he get last year? 180 targets, 184,
something like that.
So yeah, I mean, I don't see a world where he goes from 180 targets down to 110 even.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Probably not. Let's move out of this list because I think that's generally pretty chalk. Those top
Pretty good.
picks, apart from the ones we hit on.
And I'll tell you right now, I honestly like all those picks better than Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. I think I do too. I would take Devontae Adams over Cooper Kupp.
The day I see Matt Stafford throw a football is the day I put Cooper Kupp back up. Like I need to see. I haven't seen him throw a football in 6 months.
I need him to come out and have like this upcoming season to be even close to what it was 2 seasons ago. And then I'll be willing to even have the conversation of him in the top 12
next year
of the following year.
No, I'm willing.
He'd be 32 then. He'd be 32.
I'm not going that far that I need to see a whole season from Stafford.
Not a whole season. I just need to see something this season. I'm not like putting stock in it based off of the information we have now.
I have to see Matt Stafford throw a football this offseason. That's where
I know you said that, and then I said what I need to see, and then you laughed and just repeated what you need to see.
Well, because what you can see is too much, dude. You're like,
tell me what I need to see.
That's like
I determine what is too much in terms of what I need to see.
I'm just saying that if you do,
I am the arbitrator of that.
And you're going to do the same thing with Bijan Robinson. I'm telling you right now that the people that did that.
Bijan Robinson, I don't need to. I'm cool with Bijan Robinson, even though this is too early for me. This is too early for me. I'm not worried about his long-term value. It's a different situation entirely.
Just draft him next year when it's too late, dude.
Yeah, man, totally.
Sophomore.
Just draft him first overall when it's too early, bro.
I'll just trade. I'll just trade for sophomore Saquon Barkley. No, I get it. I get it. If this were a situation where like we were getting a discount on Cooper Kupp, then it's like, okay, I'll take a stab. But you're right. You're paying full price. You're paying the price of admission for something that it might not be the show that you saw last time.
Right.
So I'm just busting your chops, dude.
I
also just said that I'm not drafting him there, but I just if things are looking good, I find it hard that I won't get back in on the hype.
Yeah.
Show me a couple clips.
You know, he showed it last season. He was incredible in a short amount of games, right? And so that definitely gives me hope, and it makes the situation all tricky.
All right. So those guys are pretty chalk. I think this next group, it seems like there's a draw. To me, a bit of a drop off in tier. So we just did the top 15. JL, what comes up next year?
Yeah, so we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, Garrett Wilson, and Travis Etienne, and then Mark Andrews and Jalen Waddle as the next kind of clump here, the next group.
Yeah.
Before we get into that's like the second round ADP, and then we're getting into third round ADP. So that finishes out the second round.
Yeah, I just I'm glad that you read it all the way down to Jalen Waddle, because I just did a write-up on Jalen Waddle that features Amon-Ra St. Brown heavily because they had very similar rookie years. They both played 60 to 70% of their snaps in the slot. They both had 7 yards average depth of target. You know, they both had around 1,000 yards, a bunch of, enough targets or whatever. The problem that I run into with these two guys is that Amon-Ra St. Brown kept his role where he still played a ton of slot. He still his average depth of target actually went down to 6.7 yards, which is not even in the top like 70, 80 guys. And he got 138 targets, but you have to remember, this team was still deep in the rebuild where they drafted a wide receiver they knew wasn't going to play for pretty much the whole year and was going to come back slow like guys do off ACL injuries. They traded their tight end in the middle of the season. Like if this team is going to be serious about competing now, Jameson Williams is going to take a step forward, and they're probably going to go out and get a split end and or a tight end. I wouldn't even be surprised if they double tap tight end. But if this team wants to compete, but do they think they're going to win the Super Bowl with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Brock Wright and Quintez Cephas? Like they obviously need additional weapons. That's my concern for him. Jalen Waddle, on the other hand, went from a 7-yard A-dot guy up to a 12-yard A-dot guy. He went from playing 60% of his snaps in the slot to only playing 25%. He's a true outside wide receiver now. And that offense, to a certain degree, is built. We don't have to worry about them going out and displacing him in the draft because it's not going to happen. So I straight up will draft. Jalen Waddle's going pick 23, Amon-Ra pick 16. I'll straight up pick Jalen Waddle over Amon-Ra St. Brown any day. Easily. And I'll pick him over Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I think that I don't think that is that hot of an opinion, but I guess if you look at just him being a wide receiver 2 on his team, you could see that as controversial. I put these guys in a similar clump, and I think it comes down to like even though Waddle's the number 2 wide receiver on his team, Amon-Ra St. Brown's offense is not quite as pass heavy, or it's not going to feature Amon-Ra St. Brown as much as Jalen Waddle is. So that kind of gives him the boost. And I think that's what you're talking about here, Coop, is like you're looking at the metrics and basically proving that Waddle is going to be a fundamental part of this high-powered, fast-moving offense, which is what you want in fantasy.
And you know that the targets are essentially going to get funneled to Tyreek Hill and Waddle because they use a blocking tight end on a huge chunk of snaps. Alec Ingold, the fullback, played 40% of the offensive snaps, and he's soaking up 0 targets. All that does to me, that takes the third wide receiver out of the game, and it just really puts the focal point on these two guys. And Jalen Waddle, even though he got less targets than Amon-Ra St. Brown last year, it was like 138 for Amon-Ra, and Waddle only got 115. Because of Waddle's higher ADOT, he had 200 more yards than Amon-Ra St. Brown. So the ceiling for Waddle is just higher, in my opinion. Not to say Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't a good football player. I just think when all is said and done, he might settle in as more of a Tyler Boyd type slot guy, probably a better version of Tyler Boyd, but maybe not. Type slot guy.
We haven't seen Tyler Boyd do this ever.
Tyler Boyd, I got 100.
This good as
Look at,
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
look at 2019 Tyler Boyd stats.
But sustain. I'm talking about like multiple seasons as the one on this team.
He had back-to-back
I-
seasons with 1,000 yards. Like that's what happens during
I
rebuilds.
get that, but that's not the same. Those aren't the same two things. And so I get that.
He led
I
the team in
see-
targets in
I
2019.
see the Lions as trending up. They have been making these moves that put their team in such a good position. And so Amon-Ra St. Brown being the number one on that team gives me hope. And the fact that he's done it sustained over the last 2 seasons, his only 2 seasons in the NFL, gives me even more confidence.
But he wasn't even he didn't get a ton of targets until guys got hurt his rookie year.
But that's how most wide receivers, that's how most players get into the game is they have a ramp up, right? There's a ramp up from being a rookie to being.
I'm just saying we've seen this enough times where like Tyler Boyd on the Bengals, we see with Terrell Pryor on the Browns, Kenny Britt on the Rams. During the rebuild, whoever's there gets peppered with targets, but they keep adding pieces. At the end of the day, they don't stop with Jalen Waddle. They add Tyreek Hill. They don't stop with Jamison Williams. They need a split end. They need a tight end. Like that is my worry. That's my worry. In the short term, once again, he could get a number of targets, but when you look at his production on those targets, if a guy's getting 150 targets, I expect him to have more yards than, what was it, under 1,200? Like some of these guys are getting 150 targets and they're putting up 1,600 yards. Why did AJ Brown put up AJ Brown had the exact same number of targets as Amon-Ra St. Brown. He put up 300 more yards. So I just worry that they look at it and at the end of the day, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a piece of the offense rather than the focal point of the offense. That's all. Not that he's not a great player, and obviously he's already doing things that Tyler Boyd was doing at his peak, but I worry that maybe this is there's a possibility that we just saw the best season we'll ever see from Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, so I guess that's true for a lot of players.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. Or maybe we're just seeing the beginning of Amon-Ra St. Brown and I'm completely wrong. I mean, there is a world where, check this scenario out. What if they do go out and they take 2 tight ends and now it's Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams the same way that the Dolphins use Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Now, boom, it's wheels up.
Now he's in a system that supports him.
That's what makes this game so fun. All this different speculation.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And if you're missing football, BSN's got you covered. Tonight, 7:00, they're watching some XFL on the Bettor cast. Coop, you been watching any XFL?
Yeah, dude, I throw it on. I mean, I don't take notes. I kind of throw it on the background, but it's football.
It's football. I threw it on this weekend. Hella fun. I just love having football on. Well, at 7:00 tonight, you can win $100 gift card to bettersports.com or collectibles. Just join the Bettorcast, 7 p.m. Watch some XFL with us.
Get in there. I'll be watching.
Get in there. Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us today here on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, every single weekday, talking NFL, fantasy football, and having fun. Later on, we got Moose and Keith coming up and Lunch Money. And Coop, I think we got some we got a game of Quote McQuote Face tomorrow that you're gonna like.
Ooh, I'm Cody from McQuote Face is one of my favorites. I know it's one of Auntie Coop's favorites too. But
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this
We'll see.
version.
Well, thanks for joining this morning. We'll see you tomorrow on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. Until then, bye-bye.